of it as external or internal to you. Like say you're watching a movie that you like, or watching or translated it from the Sanskrit language into English, and he's the one that named it the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Okay, that's the original name. He called it the Tibetan Book of the Dead. And he had Carl Jung write a foreword for it, and he said, this book reveals the secrets of the soul. By the end of today, I'm going to go through some of those secrets of the soul for you. Now, it starts off like this. You're going to see, because if you've gone through this whole group series or read the book twice, so much of the stuff is in there, and so it pulls it all together. The first paragraph of the Bardo Total. O God, boundless light of reality, O loving faith, O loving and fierce celestial beings, angels and guides, O great spiritual teachers and saints, I acknowledge the oneness of the infinite potential. I acknowledge the oneness of the infinite potential. That's entanglement and superposition at the same time. It's a boundless light of reality. Everything is energy and we're vessels of light. It's all there. And it starts off with acknowledging this. Upon death, you're going to find that there's a boundless, limitless, infinite potential reality going on. Now, that's present for you right now. You just might not be aware of it. But over there, it becomes more clear. They say the Bardo of the dying process, your mind becomes 9 times more clear than it is now. I don't know where 9 comes from, but also know it's a lot. Much more clear than it is now. And yet, there's still more growth to go.
You slut.
So there's a lot of some similarities between what we talk about here and what goes
Street
on there.
whore.
Now this thing, this big circle I drew, is called samsara. Who's heard that word before? Anybody? Oh, me? Yeah, okay. What does it mean? The wheel, yes, it means the wheel. So this is a big wheel that I drew. When I spoke it into my phone once in a texting, I said samsara, the phone heard samsara, which is perfect, because that's really what it means. Some sorrow, although the book would probably emphasize a lot of sorrow, okay? But it's a good way to think of it. Some sorrow. It's a wheel, and it's a wheel that we're all stuck in, if you will. And you're going to be in it for eternity unless you figure out how to get out of it. This is the process of reincarnation, which we're going to go through. The whole process is involved that you're going to go round and round this wheel until you figure a way out. And it's the same way for everybody, which is sort of an important feature. We all got to figure our way out. And if you don't get out of it, you're going to keep going through sorrow again and again and again. So it's an important feature to recognize the sorrows involved. Now, I've got a little section down here. This is the physical life section. It's where we are right now. It's a teeny little spot. It's relevant, not for this book, but it's relevant to us right now. You're going to go through some sorrow here. This is Buddha's first noble truth. Life is suffering. You're going to go through some sorrow, right? Well, book starts with the expectation that here you will have died. All right, that's coming. Anybody got surprised to hear that? You're going to be dying at some point. There's about 4 different phases that I'm going to go through with you today, primary phases or bardos as part of this wheel. And the first phase is, well, they're all interesting, but the first one is very striking and very dramatic and very important. At the moment that you die, or in the first few moments after you die, there's an opportunity for immediate liberation. That's because there's a spot, if you will, in this samsara, where this great white light appears. Now, if you've heard about people going through near-death experiences, they sometimes say they see a light. Well, 1,500 years ago, that's what the Buddhists were talking about too. There's a great white light. They call it luminosity, or ground luminosity. What it actually is your essence. It's the nature of mind. It's actually you. But if you didn't spend your time during your life learning to recognize that, because you spent time during your life thinking that you're physical, this is where ego comes in. If you think you're a physical being, and you're all the isms, right? And if you think, I'm a white American male living in Pittsburgh kind of thing, and that's what I am, and that's what it's about, I'm not going to recognize this white light. And it's an important distinction, because it's given to you immediately right there. I've heard it described as a flash of lightning. How fast does that go by? Right? If you don't know to recognize this, it goes by like a flash of lightning. And now you're going to go through the rest of the wheel. Okay? But if you recognize this as what you are, or as what the book describes, the self-liberating luminosity of your own mind.
Christ.
Self-liberating. Why self-liberating? Who liberates you?
Yourself.
Just you, right? You've done it. You've earned it. And by the way, 7 billion people on Earth right now. Who does this apply to? All 7 billion, okay? It's why it's fair. Every single person has to learn how to recognize the nature of their own mind. It's self-liberating luminosity. And as you wake up, and as you start to wake up and have this luminous experience, the white light becomes obvious. First of all, you feel it inside of you, and then you'll know to recognize it. I've also heard it described as if somebody goes to shake your hand and you don't think it's a friendly person, you may not shake its hand or his or her hand. But if it's a welcome person that you're looking forward to seeing, you'll not only shake their hand, you'll give them a big hug. That's what this white light needs to be for you. You need to recognize it, you need to know it, you need to feel its peace, and you need to run into that light. If not, like a flash of lightning, it's going to go right by you. And the handshake gets pulled away from you. And then you'll miss it. What the Book of the Dead does is it's teaching you what to expect, and it's also, while you're here, it's going to be something we're going to talk about later, how to operate while you're here, but also what to expect later. Wake up. Now that's a good way to start this, because which Buddhist word means wake up?
Jesus, God
Buddha,
damn,
right? The word itself means wake up. Wake up. And why is it telling you to wake up? Because you're asleep, right? Wake up. I have transitioned from physical life through bodily death to the point of spiritual awakening. Okay? Making a transition. This is the Bardo. It's a transition. From this point on, I will awaken my spirit and my consciousness by contemplating the infinite potential of the spirit. I must meditate on peace and harmony and love and compassion. For the sake of all beings and all realities, I must remain centered in the oneness of the infinite potential. Once again, that's entanglement. We're all connected for the sake of all beings. If I do it, I help you. If you do it, you help me. We don't get out until we all get out. It's the basic idea. That's why all the prophets were working on this kind of stuff together. It's an important distinction. I'm connected to you, you're connected to me. I'm doing this for the sake of all beings, just as you are. Within this experience of infinite oneness, I will attain the supreme peace and harmony of the infinite potential, and I will accomplish the purpose of all beings. Because we're all going to get there. Very valuable. We're all going to wake up, and I want to do it, so I know how to help you do it, and vice versa. That's the point. And I'm not going to be satisfied until you've done it, and you're not going to be satisfied until I've done it. So we'll keep going round and round this wheel. If I do not attain the supreme peace and harmony, then at the least, while I reside in the spiritual reality, I will recognize that I am residing within the spiritual reality. It's a nice way of being a little merciful, which is to say, if you don't figure it out, no big deal, at least you know you didn't figure it out, and now you're in a game somehow, right? It's sort of cool because it takes some of the pressure off. Because it probably sounds like a lot if I say to you, you better recognize this light, this luminosity. If you don't recognize it, boom, you're doomed for more sorrow. Believe me to emphasize that enough throughout here. But if you feel that pressure, guess what? You're more likely to miss it. No pressure. Just recognize the light when it comes to you. It's self-liberating luminosity. It will rise before you, and if you recognize it, you are liberated. Dozens of times throughout the text it says that phrase. Recognition is liberation. I want you to memorize that. Recognition is liberation. Recognition and liberation are simultaneous. The whole point of the mind is to recognize the truth of what you are. That's it. There's nothing else that needs to be done. We're down here working in the flesh world. We're working on all these things, trying to earn salvation. We're not trying to please God or whatever it is. And yet all you needed to do, just like it says in Christian text, is to have the faith and to trust and to know what you are. That's it. No man shall boast. Same thing here. You're not going to do anything here. You're not even going to do anything here. Recognition is all you need to do, which is basically, I am the white light. By the way, we're going to get into this in a second, but there's a bunch of different colors, and there's a bunch of different types of white light. Bright lights, soft lights, that kind of stuff. This one is radiant and warm and inviting, but it's really intense. It's pretty similar to the sun. Most of us like the feeling of sunlight, but it's pretty hard to look straight into, right? A good metaphor. At any time that you have the recognition, liberation is yours. There's just more moments, there's more opportunities where there's more intense moments where you can figure it out. And when it's presented to you, when it arises right in front of you, recognize it. But then it's going to go hide again, if you will. Just like we go back and forth, I'm sure, in our own lives of moments of insight, and then we go fall back into the swamp of delusion. And then we have insight again, okay?
Does it really hide, or do we just set up a barrier?
Well, like I said,
don't know to look for it
seems like it's hiding. You wait till you see the way this ends. It's beautiful. Because, yeah, of course it's not hiding. It's right here, right now. It's right in front of your face. but you think it's hiding. That's the way it appears. This is what's known as nirvana or heaven or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, you've escaped the wheel, that's it. And you can do that right now. Do you get confused as to where your home is currently? Okay, it's the same thing.
Not yet.
Not yet. when you recognize this is your home, what would you do? You walk straight into it. So it's like that. And then there is no need to come back, and yet you might choose to. There's plenty of text written about this text, of course, but the idea is, well, I call it tenure. Once you've done that, you got it. That's the point. That's liberation. You melt into the universe. What happens next? I don't know. I'm not out of it. I'm talking to you guys, right? So the fact is, we're supposed to get there, and then question mark. I don't know what happens next. All I know is I want to get there. Okay, I think of it as a really good party. Let's meet over there. Okay. Otherwise, we're gonna have to do all the rest of this. It's like being lost in the woods. So you don't have to proceed, although you might choose to. But now you have some free will, as opposed to what's being forced upon you. The fact is, you're going to keep going until you have recognition, until you are liberated. It's Psalm 23. You are being forced to lie down in green pastures and by still waters. You're being forced to recognize heaven. You're going to. Like Kabbalah says the same thing. It's the path of pain or the path of light. This is the path of light. It's a straight shot. Recognize it. Spend time while you're here figuring it out. You're not the ego. You are the light. And once you come across the light, which, by the way, is also known as logical and it's therapeutic, how's the light feel? What's that? Warm. What else? Peaceful. And so therapeutically, when you're feeling warm and peaceful, that's because you're in the right place. And if you're not, it's because you're not recognizing it. You're in an ego place. That's always consistent, always true all the time for everybody. So if you fail to recognize that this is you, the luminosity is you, it continues. The path continues. And you move into this place where what gets presented to you are what's called peaceful deities. That's spelled deity, right? It's all right? Close enough. Deities, peaceful deities. That's probably I-E. Yeah, right. No big deal. So I'm not clinging to specific spellings of things. It's all good. I've released it. Peaceful deities. That comes next. And the peaceful deities, the book actually describes experiences of like seeing rainbows and stuffed animals. It actually says stuffed animals, and like, you're going to see what's described as all random imagery from your former life. Okay? Random imagery starts showing up. And then it starts out as peaceful, which is to say pretty pleasant. And if you're experiencing something pretty pleasant, are you thinking of it as external or internal to you? Like say you're watching a movie that you like, or watching your child play or something like that. You're thinking your kid's over there, and you're not thinking that this is coming from my own mind somehow. But it's what you have to do. You have to recognize this as a projection. If you fail to recognize this as a projection, you have to continue to go on. But you see peaceful things, pleasant things. And in the Course of Miracles, it talks about how you got to watch out for the good things that happen to you, because they're going to keep you stuck just as much as the bad things. You have to recognize that what you're experiencing in the peaceful deities aren't actually occurring. They're dreams, they're manifestations, they're coming from your own mind. And it's a pleasant experience, which is nice to have a pleasant experience. But if you don't recognize that you're dreaming it, because you're still asleep, then the wheel continues. Now, this can be challenging, because how many people are trying to wake themselves up when things are good? To me, this is the absolute essence of Jesus saying, blessed are the persecuted, okay? Because when things are pleasant, you're not like trying to look at it differently. You just experience it. This is great.
You're saying you are the light once you recognize.
Correct. You've melted into it. Now you've got what nirvana is. You become it. And it's what you are. It's being born again. All that kind of stuff. The issue and why it's drawn like this and why they explain it like this is because of yin-yang and relativity. People on different levels. If I explained it to people like you just said, they'd be like, wait a minute, you mean I'm already there? I don't need to do anything, or whatever. And the fact is, it's a process of growth, and this is how we learn, by recognizing phases, the bardos. It's literally transitions. We go from being a second grader to a third grader. You go from thinking that you're this, I'm white American male, to thinking, well, I'm not really a white American male, I'm having a white American male experience. And in the current culture, the mindset of our current culture, we've got all these people arguing and hating on each other, and yet it's all relative. Shift roles, come back, and it's probably what happens to most people. If you keep hating other, you're coming back as other, you're going to have a completely different experience. It's the process, because people who are hating on others are clearly not liberated.
I gotta go shit. I've shit 4 times today.
Liberated, are they? They're not seeing white light. Doesn't look particularly peaceful to me. So it's a process, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade. It's a process of letting go of something you've been clinging to when you were younger, perhaps, letting it go. Forgiveness takes care of that fairly well. And then there's a process of going, wait a minute, I'm not even a body? This isn't me? You know, in the Christian teachings that we're children of God? Well, it's not this, it's not the body, it's the soul aspect. It's one of the secrets, as Carl Jung would talk about too, is you're not what you think you are. The entire wheel, all of samsara, all of the sorrow, if you will, is set up to create pain so that you can let go of the false self, which is what the ego is. That's the point. So it's a process, yes, it's always available to you. Just like sunlight is always available to you, but it sort of comes and goes based upon the time of day, but it's always there. So if you fail to recognize the peaceful deities are projections from your own mind, you move into the phase which is called wrathful deities. This time I'll spell it right. Wrathful deities. And the same beings, deities are just higher beings, energy beings, if you will, that are starting out as peaceful, they become wrathful. Which is to say they're aggressive, and they become sort of angry and scary. Let me read some of this to you. At this time, when your spirit and body have parted ways, pure reality manifests in subtle, dazzling visions, vividly experienced, okay? You're in a movie theater. You're like in a cosmic movie theater, excellent 3D, high def, right? And they're movies, they're being passed before your eyes, if you will. Some people have described, gee, my life passes before my eyes. Yes, random imagery from your former life start appearing. And they're intense, and they're vivid, and they're dazzling, and they're frightening, and they're worrisome, and they shimmer like a mirage on the desert. I think of this, and I do want to do this Disney World. I want to do a Bardo Dodal ride. Right? How great would that be? The 15-hour wait it takes to get to the ride. It explains the whole book. And then you get on the ride, and sure enough, all these images start passing before your eyes. And they seem to be scary, but none of them can hurt you. It says that at some point in here. It doesn't matter if you get cut into pieces, none of them can hurt you. Because nothing can hurt the soul. It can only hurt the ego, or it can hurt the body, which you aren't. Do not be terrified, do not panic. You now have what is called an instinctual spiritual body, not a material flesh and blood body. Thus, whatever sounds, lights, and rays may come at you, they cannot harm you. You cannot die. It is enough for you to recognize these experiences as a manifestation of your own mind. At some points, they describe that 50 murderers will be chasing you, okay? And you're going to be freaked out. You're like, this is totally scary. It's like a dream state. What else is like a dream state? This life right here, okay? It's a dream state. It's not actually happening. It's going to freak you out, and you're going to think you're dying, and yet you're not. Remember, this is red. I should have said this earlier. This can be studied now, so that when it comes to you, you're not shocked by it. You're like expecting it. Have you ever gone to a horror movie? And when the knife comes out and the person gets stabbed, are you shocked? What is this horrible imagery on the screen? No. Do you feel a little bit of fear? Sure. But do you know it's a movie? Sure. Well, the preparation for this stuff is to come when you recognize, because once you know you're a soul that can't be hurt, you'll watch all this imagery, you'll be like, whatever, no big deal. And if you get really good at it while you're here, you might even be nailed to a cross and you might be able to just sort of take it, because you know you're not getting hurt. Now that's understanding of true self. That's liberation from ego. So, at this time, the great red wind of evolution will drive you from behind, fiercely, unbearingly, terrifyingly. Do not be afraid of it. It is your own hallucination. A frightening, thick darkness draws you from the form, irresistibly. You are terrified by harsh cries such as strike, kill. Do not be afraid of them. Heavy sinners will see cannibal ogres brandishing many weapons, shouting war cries, kill, kill, and strike, strike. If you read the Bhagavad Gita, it sounds just like that, okay? That the nature of reality turns out to be all this scary, evil stuff. Don't be afraid of it. Again, similar to what we're doing down here. A whole bunch of chaos is happening in the world. Are you experiencing it in a terrifying way? Or can you see it from a detached point of view and recognize what it is?
I wish this
You'll have
goddamn
a different
motherfucker
experience
would
of it as a
move.
result. You will be hunted by troops and blizzards and storms and fogs. You will hear sounds of avalanches and floodwaters, forest fires and hurricanes. In panic, you will escape by any means. So can you imagine? Does this sound like fun? When you're going through, man, it's just a movie and you'll be running around, and because you're terrified, what do you look for? Remember, you don't have a body.
Escape.
Yeah, I want out. Now, if I'm in a movie theater and it's freaking me out, what do?
Run out.
In the Book of the Dead, all these lights and all these colors, there's so many doors you can escape from, and each one of them is a direct path into a rebirth. And it gives tons of advice. Don't go to the red light. Don't go to the blue light. Don't go to the green light. And it says stuff like, this is the wisdom light, or that's the anger light. You know, it's all the colors that we're used to here. And it says, if they appear at any point, let's use color. Once you start to see these lights showing up, it warns you, don't go there. Because what's your job? What are you supposed to be looking for? Which light?
The white light.
Yeah. You start picking one of these colors, next thing you know, you're headed for rebirth. Now, you can go get reborn as many times as you like, right? The Bible even says in Revelations, if you're looking back at the country from which you came, you'll have a chance to return. Straight up to me, direct, like you said, with purgatory. It's the same sort of thing. You got a chance to come back. You can dive right into one of those lights if you want, okay? And if you're terrified because of all this, go ahead, escape. You don't get to escape the wheel until you are fully liberated by recognizing the true nature of self, right? In panic, you will escape any means, only to stop short of the brink of falling down a yawning triple abyss, red, black, white, bottomless, and horrifying. Hey, immortal one. Okay, it's trying to gently remind you, you're immortal, you cannot die. You who was called Scott, it literally has a blank. Because you can read this to a person who's died. Scott just dies, I'm saying to him, hey Scott, don't forget, you're immortal, don't be afraid. It is not really an abyss. It is your own lust, hate, and delusion. See, if you don't resolve what's inside your head here, you're not going to recognize the luminosity. You're going to see the peaceful deities. Oh, this is pleasant. I like this. This is not. Oh, man, this is scary stuff. I hate this. And you didn't realize you dreamt all of it. You're not recognizing. Coming from your mind. You don't recognize it. It's your own issues, if you will. Your own resentments, your own fears, your own impatience, all the negative virtues, if you will. They have to be fully eliminated in order to create the white light. Buddhism has the word for it. It's called Dzogchen, which is actually the great perfection. And it means you need to be purely in the white light and not just temporarily. It comes and goes. So if you have an experience of it, like an insight, when you have an insight, how does it feel? That's like a little piece of the white light. But perfection is when you're completely, now remember, I like to say this, which religion has the word perfection in it as its goal? All of them, okay? And yet we get taught, no, you don't have to be perfect, just believe your prophet was and you're good to go. No. Even Jesus said, you must be perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. You might get a little piece of the light and you'll feel it for a moment, but it's elusive. Because you got some bugs to work out. I compare it to trying to lose weight. You want to lose 70 pounds. You lose 35. You're halfway there. That's pretty good, right? But you're not done yet. Feels good, though. Lose another 20 pounds or getting close. So you got to get rid of all that 70 pounds in order for you to be good. You want to be the perfect, pure white light at all times. And that means you're able to go about in any circumstance. You're going to stay peaceful. It's called equanimity. Buddha says it. It doesn't matter what happens to you. You'll be in touch with the light. Jesus says if your eye is single, your body will be filled with light. I mean, you can see the teachings are parallel, okay? He says if you could stay focused, and this emphasizes again and again and again, stay focused, this will fill you. So, how about this then? If I said to you, you're a cup, you're a vessel of light, and you're only 1/3 filled with the light, you still got 2/3 more to go. But if I can get more light, now I'm halfway. That feels better. You're going to keep going until you are perfectly filled with the light. And that means you have complete awareness that you're not this and that you're totally this. And that's the point. This is going to emphasize that. Because if you don't do it now, which is the point of being here, is to recognize that you're not this, that this is the soul. This will surely emphasize it as well. Because you're not going to like this. How many times do you want to do this? Yes. Because if you're able to resist, because it says the word resist a lot too, the intoxicating pull from like the soft blue light or whatever. And you're like, I'm not going to go there. To me, again, to read this correctly is to recognize what the Kabbalists or in Judaism would call mitzvah, or the other, the temptations of the mind, things that are competing with the white light. How many things on earth take your mind off the idea that you're supposed to be working on your spiritual development? Hey, look, there's a cheeseburger. Oh, look, some drugs. Hey, a football game's on. You know, every time. Those are just other lights, and they're intoxicating, and they pull you in. Resist that temptation. See spirit all the time.
Okay, so, but say you weren't able to do the work that you needed to do, or you didn't choose to do the work that you needed to do while you were alive. Wherever you reach the point of recognition, do you automatically become the light, or do you have to do that additional work?
Recognition and liberation are simultaneous. You can do it here, there, anywhere, okay? There's just moments like in our personal life. Are you guys more likely to become liberated or enlightened in this office when we're talking about this stuff, or when you're watching a football game? Think about it. If you're actually studying, like Buddha would say, you're reading Dharma, you're studying the spiritual teachings, are you more likely to have an insight? Or what if you're reading 50 Shades of Grey? Now, of course, it's superposition. There's probabilities. You can increase the probability of winning this game now. What? By the Sangha. I mean, this emphasizes the 3 jewels all throughout. Dharma, Sangha, Buddha. Got to keep emphasizing that. Each one of you has Buddha in you. All these answers are already in you. It's a process of unfolding. It'll come about. You'll eventually get there. If you focus, it'll come about quicker. That's Buddha. Dharma is the teachings, and this is the very last line of this. If you got to work on the teachings, if you study the teachings, it'll come about. You'll eliminate. The wrathful deities won't even scare you, just like they won't hear. You won't see this as bad anymore. It is literally overcoming death. To me, that is LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Steph Curry. Pick your favorite basketball player who's in the zone, right? And when they're in the zone, they can't miss. They're clicking on all levels. It's an awesome feeling. It's not the complete feeling, but it's a little piece of it. When you feel love, when you feel inspired by something beautiful, yeah, that's a little piece of it too. But that awareness needs to be expanded into all of it. All of it. And recognize you're only having those experiences way back from the book. The observer effect, you're a conscious being. You're a conscious being having an experience. You're interacting with this thing called samsara. And what keeps popping up for you is exactly what you need to pop up for you. And the person to your left or your right, what's popping up for them is what needs to pop up for them. And it's an opportunity for anybody. The more adverse circumstances, often, the more likely you're going to say, I need to look at this different. you get sucked into the peaceful, beautiful part of it, then you're not going to be liberated. What happens upon your death? Good luck when you come back around. If things went great for you, you got your millions of dollars, and you got your mansion, you got love, and all this great stuff, you're going to be miserable over here because you're going to literally be walking around looking for your stuff. And if what you do is look back, like this line here, when you come across your surviving relatives and they perform incorrect religious rites, which is to say, imagine somebody who's on this side who's mourning your death, and they're upset and they're trying to pray you into heaven, or whatever the case may be, and you're having experiences of them, and it's not correct. If it says imperfect religious rites, you must think, well, my perception is certainly imperfect. I see these as a result of my own negative attitude, like seeing the mirror's faults in my own form. Which is to say, no, you're the one that's looking at them incorrectly. It's another example of the mirror. Wherever you go, whoever you see, whatever you do, it's a reflection of your own mind. You have to embrace it to the 100 degrees, 100%. And that's perfection. And then you now own all of it, you've taken all of it, and you don't have to go back around and round and round again. Not until you get to 100% will this be complete. Now this is why over in the East, Far East, they're all dedicated to the reincarnation idea, because I know this is a long process. The purpose of this little phase here, which is physical reality, is because it speeds things up. We have a chance to actually interact with each other. This part that we're coming to next, if you fail to recognize this is a projection of your own being, you start to begin the rebirth process, or the becoming process, because you look for a way out. I don't know what to do. I'm scared of all this stuff. It's creepy to me. I need out. I must need a body again. You immediately start to cling. I need to be flesh again. And so literally the body starts to form energetically around you, because this is a really high vibrating frequency, if you will, and you're still attracted to the flesh place. You can't let it go. And since you can't let it go, the body starts to form again. You quite literally start to get, as it says, you start to develop sight, sound, hearing, all that kind of stuff again. And yet you don't have a body. What you do have, which is crazy, you have evolutionary magic powers. This means that you have no special abilities, because everybody has this, but you have magic powers, and you can, in a split second, circle the planet. You can move through mountains. Anywhere you want to go, just reach out your arm and you're there, okay? Because you're a ghost. It's called a hungry ghost. You haven't figured it out yet, but you're floating around, and what you're desperate for, you're craving human contact, or, I need a hug again, or whatever, and you're not used to, and you're not aware that you can be completely filled with this. It's always there, completely fulfilled. And you're not satisfied, so now you're coming back into the earth realm, and now you see all these places and all these things, and you're like, yeah, this is great, except for it's not, because you're invisible. Magic powers, well, yeah, if you detach yourself from your body, in a dream, you can do billions of things inside your own dream state.
Christ, I didn't want to
That's what happens here. You'll be able to shoot through the world, and then you're going to still be unsatisfied. You're going to say, great, I was able to go to the moon and back and feel like, well, what's that really do for me? What happens here? There's spirit guides are all throughout this, just like there are guides here. We really have each other. And if you learn to look at the other person as your teacher, it's always the case. All of you are teaching me where I'm at in my development.
Jesus fucking
all of us
Christ.
Are teaching Beth. All of us are teaching Kristen all the way through it, whether you know it or not. The world is your mirror. Now, some people can be aware of it, some not, but it never stops. It's always teaching all the spirit guides. What's also the case up here? The beings, the ascended ones, the ones in the white light, higher dimensional beings, you might say Jesus, the Lord, Buddha, the Lord. There's millions of Buddhas that they mention, not millions, dozens, that they mention throughout this. They're always contacting you. They're trying to guide you. I like to think of them as fans in the stands cheering you on. They're trying to get you to wake up, but you need to be able to do it, and all they can do is try to influence you, okay? So to your question, those guides, at this phase, if you fail to recognize and you have not awakened, or as the book says, being extremely stupid, because it is sort of good. How many people down here are so filled with animosity and resentment, once again, you can think politics if it works for you, that they destroy themselves based upon their hate of other. Now, that's extremely stupid, isn't it? When this express goal of all this is to learn how to see other, love thy enemy. That's what it is. That's how you break free. That's how you get liberated. But go ahead, get consumed with hate. Well, that's why this is fair. If you do, then that's on you. So you get to the state, you've not learned nothing, not learned anything, and you get yourself to a point where you're like, I need a body again. This is where the forces, the powers that be, that spirit guides, including yourself, because you have a say in this, start to develop this pathway back to your rebirth. This is the phase where, what's the right circumstances for my birth? How do I get out of this mess? Now you start to go back into this, they call it, you start to re-enter the womb. And it says you still have a chance to close the womb door. It even says you're going to see a man and a woman coupling. And you're going to go, ooh, there's a chance for a body. It says resist. Because why? You still have a chance to get to the white light. You still have a chance for luminosity, for recognition, for liberation. You still have a chance. It says the whole time, just stay awake, try to wake up. If you fail to do it, now this is where your tendencies come into play. The whole thing is an energy system. This soul, if it's resentful here, it's resentful here, it's resentful here, it's going to end up taking on circumstances that will bring about its possibility for correction. So, what are some life circumstances that might actually help a person who's got resentment issues? Are they going to be born in an environment which is really easy and they have no reason to resent anybody ever again? No, they're going to specifically get the annoying next door neighbor so they can work on that issue because they need to learn how to recognize, no, I'm projecting that. I needed to have that experience. If it's, again, it says this in here somewhere, if I can get to the end of this, the advice. The best thing to do is remember the virtues. What are the virtues?
Forgiveness. Courage. Patience.
Courage, compassion, wisdom, creativity, go on and on, hope, all that stuff. If you remember that, you can apply that here while you're alive. Because do those things work? Absolutely. And do they work here? Do they work here? Do they work here? They absolutely work. Remember the virtues. And then you're going to be better off. If you find yourself getting pulled back into the physical realm, it says, do not go, ooh, that's a good life, or, well, that's a bad life. Don't do that. Accept either one that's coming to you. That's going to help balance you out. The whole key is to get back into a physical life, which is going to be the right circumstances for your opportunity to wake up again. And then you're going to get about 80 years, give or take, and you're going to have a chance to go through it all again here. And if not, you're going to swing back all the way around again. Okay, so I have to get to some of these. Oh, this is how it ends. It does say stuff like this. As you begin to gain access to a womb, choose wisely, but do not judge anything as good or bad. Oh, that would be great. I'm going to be born in Pittsburgh where they got that good football team. Yay, Or I'm going to be born to millionaires. No, that's not the point. You have to go, which of these circumstances is going to help me wake up? And guides will be suggesting, go there, go there. It literally says, which continent are you going to be born on? Choose wisely. Again and again it says that.
So, there really isn't a good and a bad life or circumstances for anyone. It's what they're going to learn from where, it's all good because you're going to learn from what you're experiencing.
Excellent. That's called the tree of life. The Bible itself, do not eat off the tree of good and evil, eat off the tree of life. Buddha says there's no good or bad, there's just peace and not peace. If you can see every one of your life experiences as neither good nor bad, as did this bring about peace or not, now you're accessing the light. If you pull that off, now you're balanced. That's Dzogchen, that's equanimity, it's all those things, that's perfection. And that's the goal. So you wouldn't evaluate as good or bad. You could say, well, that was pleasant or not. You could do that. And I say this again and again, I prefer pepperoni on my pizza. Some other people might prefer, vegetables. Do either one of them matter? No, not to the white light. If you can see the spirit in it, then you'll gain access to it. You still might have experiences that are good or bad, but those are decidedly ego things. Here now we're at the end of the book. I will give up corpse-like sleeping in delusion and mindfully enter unwavering the experience of physical reality. So I'm not going to go back like a corpse. I've been a corpse the whole time. Let me not go back as a corpse. Sleeping in delusion. Again, the vast majority of the world is in ego mode. Asleep, robotic thinking, not aware. They think they're flesh. We're arguing about all this physical stuff. That's what all the wars are about. Whose profit is correct? Who needs the money? Who should have that piece of land? All of it delusion, all of it being projected from every individual person's mind. I will give up this corpse like sleeping. Conscious of dreaming, I will enjoy the changes as clear light. When I come back in, that's what we were just saying. Good or bad, I'll enjoy it as the light. Either way. I said, is that what you want me to experience, God? You want me to experience this? Think Jesus on the cross. Did he want to go do that? Not my will, thy will be done. No, he didn't want to go do that. He knew he needed to, and he saw it as the light. Doesn't matter what happens to you. In fact, if you can see a bad thing as the light, you're going to wake up much quicker. This vessel will get filled a lot quicker. If you could take a bad thing and see it as the light, get really filled up. Not sleeping mindlessly like an animal. I will cherish the practice. Merging sleep and realization. I love it. Now that you're coming back into the physical form, you're going to merge sleep and realization. This is give to Caesar that which is Caesar's, give to God that which is God's. You're going to come back in with the awareness that, yeah, I'm in this sleep-like state. I'm in a dream, but I'm also self-actualized, and I realize this. I can now walk through this physical world as a spiritual being. It ends, the last line. If you do not put the Dharma in your mind, will you not be the one who deceives yourself? The Dharma is the teachings. The Dharma is the truth. The Dharma is like everything we were just talking about. And if you don't put that into your mind as you take on another physical form, aren't you just deceiving yourself? Well, the answer is decidedly yes. If you don't wake up to the process, you're going to spend not only this life, but all this blaming the external. And you get to go through it again and again and again. All right, so here's some of the secrets. Important way to think of it, because you can apply it here and there. It's all a projection all the time. In the book, we have the thing called the projector. It's also the observer effect. It's always a projection.
Bring this poem
the movie reel is inside your own brain, and you, through your eyes, are the light sort of looking out through the movie. That happens here. That happens here. If you see it that way, it'll happen here. It'll happen here. It's always just a projection. Therefore, it's all just an illusion. Chapter 13. All the smartest physicists have called it an illusion. All of the prophets called it an illusion, and Jesus demonstrated that's an illusion. And yet, we think it's real. If you can't get yourself to a place where you recognize that this is an illusion, you're not liberated. Does that make you bad? No. You're just still in samsara, and you're going to keep going through sorrow. But when you do wake up and recognize, wait a minute, this isn't what I think it is. I'm a spiritual being having a physical experience. That's liberation. You still have the experience, but you do it with the light, which, I like to say is very therapeutic. Now you're peaceful, and if you go to die, you're going to be like, I'm not really dying, I'm just leaving the movie theater. That's greatly therapeutic. You can get through all of your issues by recognizing this. It's just an illusion. You had an experience, let it go. Who among us is going to go through this phase? Every single person. And you're going to be glad you worked on the Dharma, okay? You're going to be glad you worked on this stuff. You're going to be like, oh, I remember Steve was talking about that white light back in 2017. All right? I should look for it, probably. Yeah, that's a good idea. Look for it while you're here. Whatever you concentrate upon will come about. This is in the book. Whatever you concentrate upon comes about. That's why focus is important.
Nope.
If you worry a lot, stuff that is going to worry you is going to come about. And if you're resentful, stuff that is resenting will happen to you. If you forgive, then you're going to have a forgiveness experience. It's whatever you choose to focus on, and it's not the other person. Direct quote, you have a mental body of unconscious tendencies. If you are killed and cut into pieces, you cannot die. You're a mental body of unconscious tendencies. That is superposition. Okay? You have all these probabilities, or what degree of forgiveness are you? What degree of patience are you? The physical aspect really is just a tool. Course in Miracles would talk about it that way too. Use the flesh to teach the spirit. Okay? Get off of the idea that you're a body. You turn your own projections into demons. You've done it. You need to love thy enemy. And a few helpful lines and then we're done. Unless you these are all from the book. Unless you recognize that everything is illusion, you will continually fall into the eternal swamp of suffering. This is 1,500 years old teaching. Unless you recognize this is an illusion, you will continually fall into this. There will come a point where you recognize it as an illusion. Listen without distraction, it says it again and again and again. Without distraction. How many of us get distracted in our physical lives? Every time you turn around, oh, there's something physical to do, Or I'll be like, hey, Steelers are playing, and I just lost it again. Now I'm mad at Tom Brady again, or whatever. I just got distracted. Stay focused on this. It's always there. If your eye is single, your whole body will be filled with light. If you see projections as enemies, you will not become Buddha. If these projections, which
Jesus
is all of it,
fucking
if you
Christ.
see them as enemies, you will not become Buddha. So think of the recent political events again too. If you see other as enemy, you will not become Buddha. You're going to have to somehow learn how to see that other person as a projection of your own mind. At every moment, remember the practice of virtue. You must stay focused. It says that again and again. Stay focused. If you're walking a tightrope, and if you lose focus, you're falling off. 3 more. Practice in this life is most important. Practice is most important. This is Heb's law. Practice makes perfect. If you don't practice this stuff, you're not going to be good at it. You want to practice patience, go to Walmart and go to the longest line at the checkout counter, okay? Next time you're in traffic, let a couple people in front of you, right? This is why compassion and charity and those things can be very helpful, because if you're practicing giving up some of your ego possessions, that can be very valuable. Got to practice this stuff. When I suffer, may the Lord of great compassion be my guide. Who does that sound like? When I'm suffering, may the Lord of great compassion be my guide. That means here, 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 or here. Who's the Lord of great compassion? Name your favorite prophet. Right? The light, God, Jesus, Krishna, Buddha, Muhammad, whatever. The Lord is my shepherd. Doesn't matter which religion you're in, it's the same thing. Those are ascended beings. Those are the deities, okay? Those are the ones from above who are trying to get you to wake up and realize what they've realized. Their process, they got out. They're just leaders. They're the shepherds trying to teach you how to get out, all of them. And if you can remember, oh, that's right, that Jesus, that Buddha, that Krishna, Muhammad, whatever works for you, that's important. Whatever works for you, man, you're connected to the light. And it works when you do it, right? You can feel that. What happens to your suffering, whether you're here, 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 and you manage to connect to the light?
Goes away.
Diminishes, right? And Buddha would say, last line, and Buddha would say, and that is the proof that this is what's true. As Ram Dass says, for those who have had this experience, no explanation is necessary. For those who haven't had the experience, no explanation is possible. Right? The fact is, when you start to experience that, you know it's true. If not, keep going through the peace and the wrath and the peace and the wrath and the rebirth, and you'll eventually get there.
God fucking damn it.
Hello there, thrill seekers. Let's talk about the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Okay, I now, for reasons that maybe I'll explain, am the proud owner, I don't know if proud is the word, but I'm the owner of one, two, 3, 4, and arguably 5 different versions of the Tibetan Book of the Dead. The earliest one that I ever owned was this. I've had this for years. Every time I've tried to read this one, I got bogged down early on in the book and didn't go much further.
Thank you. Okay, so God didn't create time, correct?
I'm sorry, what?
So God did not create time, correct?
I don't think God operates on a clock.
But did he create time?
No, man did.
Thank you, yes. So
God
God didn't create time. Fantastic. Do you know?
I don't think God created time.
Right. Do you know how relativity works? Do you know Einstein's theory of relativity? And do you know how space-time are interwoven?
I don't recall the scientifics of it, but I understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, space-time are interwoven. They cannot exist without each other. They're a web. Which means space also wasn't created. Space and time both are eternal. So now we've got two things that we know God didn't create, because space and time have to be eternal. Do you follow?
Time as it listen. Time as it relates to it. No, time. Come on, are you going to let me answer or not?
We're waiting for it.
Are you going to let me answer or not?
I'm really waiting for it.
Time as it relates to an actual tick-tock clock, I believe that mankind created time as it relates to keeping time. Like,
we're not talking about
keeping
time.
time.
Listen, you're dancing around the stampede here. You're just dancing around your own stampede. That's all you're doing.
You can't have a stampede with one person.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, I cannot. Just give me straight.
Okay, so
So 1,000 people on your
I know,
they're
and-
listening to you.
Trust me, they're listening to both of us right now, and they're having the time of their lives.
Absolutely.
So
space and time are interwoven, correct?
I'm not a scientist, so I couldn't answer that question. I'm not a scientist.
The answer is yes. The answer is yes.
Verbally answer a question that is not my forte.
Right. Now we also know that something can't come from nothing, right? Can we agree on that?
Everything's I guess. I don't know if I want to agree with that or not. I don't know what you're getting at, because I know you got a trick up your sleeve.
I don't have any tricks. I'm just using logic. Okay, so premise number one, something cannot come from nothing. Yes or no?
Something cannot come from nothing. Everything is created by something.
That's not my question. My question is, can something come from nothing?
My answer is what I just told you.
Is it a yes or no?
There is no yes or no to that.
Yes or no, can something come from nothing?
Everything is created by something.
She's trying so hard. You're not going to get ahead of this conversation. You have no idea what I'm
I guess the answer would be no.
That's right.
Yes or no, then that would be a no.
That's correct answer.
Something cannot come from nothing.
Okay. Premise number two, we have something.
Yes. See, you're a trickster.
Okay, so number trick. Okay, so something can come
You should
from
have been a lawyer.
Okay, so
You should hang up this podcast and go be a multi-million-dollar lawyer.
I wouldn't.
That's what you should do, sir.
I don't want
Where's
to
your
get.
prophecy?
I don't want to pay to get lied.
That's a prophecy.
I do not want to lie for a living. Nope, I'm good. So
You're doing it every day.
So premise number one.
You're doing it every day.
So premise number one. Do you agree? It sounds like what you're saying now is that something can come from nothing. Is that your new argument?
I'm sorry, say that again, sir.
Can something come from nothing?
Everything comes from something.
Okay, so the answer is no. Something cannot come from nothing. Correct?
Everything comes from something.
So the answer is no.
Everything that is comes from something, correct?
That's correct.
Yes.
Okay, so the answer is no. Something cannot come from nothing. We agree. Right?
Your people are funny. I'm not even drinking.
Okay, premise number two. Premise number two. We have something exists. Right?
That's called the joy of the Lord.
Premise number two.
Drunk in the Holy Ghost.
Yes, I'm quite sure. Premise number two. Something exists. Right?
What?
Premise one, something can't come from nothing. We already agreed. Premise number two is that something exists, right?
Can you put that on the big screen so I can read it?
Oh my gosh. Yes.
I'm so hard. Clearly, the Holy Spirit doesn't have
Because I would like for your viewers to understand what you're saying as well. Because
we understand exactly what he's saying.
I had a whole buffet to
There's
eat.
a problem with you. Okay, listen here, princess. Just because you cannot comprehend something, maybe you should ask the Holy Spirit to give you more intelligence, but clearly you are lacking. All of us have heard this premise numerous times. We know because we actually understand it. It is not our fault,
You are being
nor
evil.
our. I don't give a shit how you fucking feel. Don't come at me so I was talking about I'm a bully when you assumed that I was Spanish just because of my accent. Come at our. I don't give a shit how you fucking feel.
You are being
Nor
evil.
are. I don't give a shit how you fucking feel. Don't come at me so I was talking about I'm a bully when you assumed that I was Spanish just because of my accent. If you don't like it, you can get the fuck off the panel. That's a you problem, not our problem. Either understand it or keep quiet so he can teach you.
I speak Spanish because I live in Texas, lady.
Congrats. She doesn't because she's not Spanish. So premise number one, something cannot come from
Really,
nothing.
I'm a white girl. You can see my picture.
Yes, quite clear. Premise number one, something cannot come from nothing. We agree on this premise. Premise number two should be even easier. Something exists. Can we agree on that?
Hold on, let me get to your screen. Premise number one, something cannot come from nothing.
Yes or no?
I would agree with that.
Fantastic. Premise number two.
I agree with premise number one. What's number two? What's number two?
Right here.
No, what was your second question?
That's it. Premise number two is that something exists. Yes or no?
You're backlashing there. You're backfishing. You're doing all kinds of craziness. I see what you're doing.
That's how you make them hard sound, Justin.
Premise number two
Why
is
are you
easy.
marrying them since you're two people?
Does something
Friends, I know, jealousy hurts.
does something exist, Pastor?
Jealous of what?
Does something exist?
There was something to be jealous of.
Pastor, does something exist?
Let's make one thing perfectly
She's
clear.
crashing hard.
Extremely hard. Jealousy of intelligence. Jealousy of common sense. Jealousy of logic. Those are things to be jealous of. Let me guess. You're probably one of those women that claims to be part Cherokee as well. Oh, excuse me. That your great-great-great-grandmother was a Cherokee princess too? Singing your grain in Hebrew?
Actually, my mother was part Cherokee.
There it is! She called it! We knew it!
And my maybe you're a prophetess. Maybe you should get on line with Jesus. You should get on board with
I'm a prophet! I'm a prophet! Thank you, Lizzie. Oh, Hanji, you got reported again.
I know. Should I drop and come back?
Yeah, you got to now.
Alright guys, hold on.
Sorry, guys. Hanji's gonna come right back. She's not going to. She's about to come right back. So easy. Premise number two, yes or no? Something exists.
Something cannot come from nothing.
Yes, I'm aware. Premise
Everything exists.
Yes,
Everything that is, it exists. If it is, it exists.
I know.
And there are things that are yet to be
I know.
that
You're
exist
crashing hard.
already
She's crashing really
by
hard.
faith.
Yeah, adorable.
No,
But
I'm not.
does-
Sir.
does-
No.
does-
No.
does-
Don't crash, baby.
does
I'm not a drug addict.
does
I'm not a crasher.
you do need to be on your prescription meds. Does something exist?
And I'm not a firecracker.
Does something exist? Does something exist or does
Everything exists.
Okay, is everything something?
Yes.
Okay, so then premise number two is correct. Something exists, right?
You're gonna lose this battle. Hold up, idiot. You're gonna lose in a minute. Keep going.
Okay, so easy. Then.
You're proving what I'm saying is you're actually proving me up is what you're doing.
So then
You're proving me up.
The logical-
What I've been saying this whole time. You're proving.
the misplaced confidence here is unbelievable. So the conclusion then is that there was never nothing. So premise number one says that something cannot come from nothing. You agree. Premise number two, something exists. Conclusion, there was never nothing. There has always been something.
That sounds like a mind-boggling riddle from Jack the Ripper.
Just how logic works. Which means we have no need for your God.
Why do we have what is called faith in multiple
That's called
multiple religions?
That's called hoping.
And especially in the excuse me.
It's called coping.
It's called what?
It's called coping.
Oh, so now you're just saying that all
That's
things.
your method
So
of.
now you're saying that all
That's
things.
your method of running from reality.
Coping. What reality would that be?
The reality that your God is fictitious and you have no evidence of him.
I do have evidence of him. He's
But you could
presented
present.
himself to me multiple times.
You could present any evidence.
But here's the thing about my God. My God appears to me, and he.
Yeah, I know.
And
there's medication for
many
that.
others. I'm not the only one in the world. I'm not the only one in the world that he has appeared to.
Yes, I'm quite sure. I'm going to pull.
And what does he look like? Somebody asked. He doesn't look like Michelangelo's portraits, I can tell you that. He's Hebrew. He's not black and he's not white.
Yeah, he's definitely neither of those very things. Fantastic. So I'm going to go over a few things. Let me know.
So you don't believe in Jesus. Is that what you're telling me? You don't believe in Jesus?
Let me know if you recognize any of these.
After being in the church.
So do you recognize any of these? Do you know what Abilify is? Do you know?
Yeah, I know all about those. My clients are on those. But anyway, can you answer this question?
Ben Purdle.
Can you answer this question after you're done bullying me?
Do you know
You're
what?
such a stellar human being. You're a bully.
Do you know? Have you ever taken Clopazol?
You're bullies. That's all y'all are is bullies.
I'm just trying to see if you have a diagnosis
Why are you
that we should
bullying
be
me?
aware of.
Why are you bullying me?
I'm not bullying
Do you
you.
have custody of your kids? Do you have custody of your kids? That's sad. That's sad. That's really sad.
Go fuck yourself. I don't fucking think so.
Well, that's the end of that. She really did Jesus proud tonight, guys.
Jimmy, pronouns he, him. It's just goddamn Jimmy Jr. sitting out there.
I think it is.
From New York, who just says, "Why don't you believe in God?" Jimmy, you've called the perfect show for this question. How are you doing today?
I'm doing alright. Do you hear me?
You sound like just fine.
We do.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes, it's unfortunate the way you guys are just laughing at the shit that matter.
Oh, okay.
laughing at like
The belief in God?
the belief in God and stuff? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, you guys
The belief in God is silly, there's no good evidence for it.
I mean, we understand people believe it sincerely, and I don't want to mock a person.
Right.
But, I'm absolutely going to mock a belief, and I'm absolutely going to mock the God that they're believing in, because the God that people believe in, generally speaking, is laughable.
Right.
Some of my best friends are Christian. I just don't care about insulting them. I care insulting the beliefs that they... Yeah, exactly. So we're not going to laugh at a person unless they do something really funny like Mike. They give me shit for naturalism and stuff.
Yeah, we do. My buddy says that to you all the time.
I'm just like, yeah, okay, that's weird. Yeah. What's the issue with us giggling about God, Jimmy?
You guys are so prideful. I just hope that when you die,
Can we stop with the meta? Can we stop with the meta? Do you have anything of substance, or just like your whole shtick? Just like I can make meta attacks like a child.
Want to know why we don't believe in God? Is that a genuine question you have?
Yes. I have a genuine question, but you guys want to...
No, stop. Yeah, give it the question. Stop with the meta. Stop the meta, please. I hate that. I really hate the meta.
Okay. What do you mean by the meta? Just
Don't talk about me, who I am, what I do. Talk about the proposition that if I die of a heart attack. attack right now, it'll either still be true or false. Right? It doesn't matter about if I exist. Don't worry about me.
No, okay, it's not about you per se.
Okay, you're still doing it though. Please stop. Let's just move on. Yeah, just go to the meta.
No, I'm saying that I believe the Bible. I believe the Bible.
Hold on. You believe the Bible. I want to let you finish the sentence here. You believe in the Bible. You believe in the God of the Bible. Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
Do you believe in the whole Bible word for word, or do you believe the Bible needs to be interpreted?
I believe in the whole Bible. The Bible is the word of God, yes.
Okay.
It's all literal?
Yes.
Okay. So then let's deal with that. Number one, I think it's important to point out, at the beginning of the show, we pointed out several contradictions in the Bible. There are several places in the Bible where one part of the Bible says one thing and another part of the Bible says something else. So how can the whole thing be true if different parts of it say different things?
Excellent question. Number one, I was right here at the beginning of the show, so I didn't know what contradictions I put out.
We can revise that for you.
We can give you several. I like five on top of my head.
Do you want us to point some out to you?
I don't know, but... Yeah, point of contradiction.
Well, there's a couple. So, like direct contradiction would be something like, when did Jesus die?
That's a good point. On what day did Jesus die?
Jesus died on the cross, and he died on the cross, it wasn't a third day. So,
what day of the week? Was it a Monday? Was it a Thursday? Was it like before Passover?
Yeah, after Passover, when?
Oh, he died on Friday. He died on Friday, it wasn't Sunday, though.
Okay. So was it Luke that said the opposite?
No, I believe I don't have it in front of me, but it was Mark and John.
Yes.
John does this thing where what he has is he stresses a theological point and moves the day that he's crucified, because what he wants to do is stress a theological point that during the slaughtering of the lambs for the Passover, what that signifies is that Jesus is being crucified during the same time. And so that is signifying that he is the Lamb of God taking away the sins from humanity, right? Which is not the case when you get, I believe, Mark. I mean, they're going to look it up and make sure I'm accurate.
I also have another one that's similar.
And I mean, there's that and the birth of Jesus. There's that and the birth of Jesus, but I can get into that. That's more fun because that has to do with Jesus.
Okay, you guys do know the Bible. You guys are just living in the dark.
Don't say that. I said one thing about the Bible. Don't puff me up yet.
I think another important one is the resurrection as well. Because in one of the Gospels, it says that they went to the tomb, and the tomb was wide open, and there was an angel inside, and the angel came out. And then another one says the tomb wasn't open yet, and there was an earthquake, and then it opened. And there's another one that says there was two angels, not one. And then there's another one that says that the angels were sitting on the rock, and another one says they were standing next to the people. There's one that says the body of Jesus was inside, and then he had ascended. There's another one that says that the body of Jesus wasn't inside, he was already gone. There's another one that says that women saw the body, the empty tomb, and then they went back and told people. There's another one that says that the people were already there. Like, the four main guys
ran away and didn't say anything in the end.
So Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John fundamentally disagree with each other on the resurrection.
So you see why it's tough for us when you think everything in the Bible is literally true.
That can't, unless there's four Jesuses, that doesn't make any sense.
Forrest, can I respond to you? Can I respond?
Sure.
You guys do know the Bible. You guys do know the Bible, so you guys are living in rebellion. That's what it tells me. You guys know what the Bible is.
You just went straight back to the meta. Stop with the meta. Address the...
What did you say? We were what?
He said we know the Bible, so we're living in rebellion. Is that right? Is that what you waited to say, Jimmy? Because I can tell you this right now. If I was still a believer, I would look at you and laugh so fucking hard because you are the goat that Jesus will cast to the side and say that he never fucking knew you.
Truth.
That's...
So Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John fundamentally disagree with each other on the resurrection.
So you see why it's tough for us when you say you think everything in the Bible is literally true.
That can't, unless there's four Jesuses, that doesn't make any sense.
Forrest, can I respond to you? Can I respond?
Sure.
You guys do know the Bible. You guys do know the Bible, so you guys are living in rebellion. That's what it tells me. You guys know what the Bible is.
You just went straight back to the meta. Stop with the meta. Address the...
What did you say? We were what?
He said we know the Bible, so we're living in rebellion. Is that right? Is that what you waited to say, Jimmy? Because I can tell you this right now. If I was still a believer,
I would look at you and laugh so fucking hard because you are the goat that Jesus will cast to the side and say that he never fucking knew you.
Truth.
That's so ridiculous, man. We're genuinely trying. We're here way after the show, man. Like, we're holding the crew and all the audience hostage because we just love doing this. We genuinely are excited about the idea that somebody could call in and say, like, hey, man, look, maybe here's something you guys just didn't see, you know? And yet, here you are just to be like, haha, you atheists suck. Well, you know what?
It's childish, dude.
Don't even collect a paycheck doing this.
Yeah, volunteer work. I'm taking time off work to be here for free.
I just live in
Forrest.
Yes,
You guys are over here in your short term because there's no God. You guys actually know the Bible. You guys are deceived to deliver them to hell. You guys are
I would love to address that. I would love to address that. We're sending people to hell. Okay, Jimmy, why do people go to hell?
Because they don't believe in God. They sin. They sin willfully.
Okay, so then let's assume, well, this is something we talked about a couple times on the show. Let's assume your God is real. What kind of asshole would send somebody to hell just because they don't believe in them?
Your God.
That's a
They have the Bible. They answer the question. They have the Bible. They read the Bible. Instead of they don't apply what the Bible says to do. They want to question the Bible. They want to have a rebellion.
I do want to question the Bible, and I don't want to do what the Bible says to do. Like the slavery shit.
The Bible condones slavery.
Yeah, or like raping women or something. Like, I don't want to do that. Yeah, you're right, man. When I look at the Bible and it's like, oh, Lot's daughters decided, hey, it's a great idea to just, I don't know, rape our dad. Yeah, rape him. Yeah, question that.
Should we get Jamie to get like mauled by I call Jamie
Baldy.
I call Jamie Baldy.
He'll send some bears after us, man.
Send you bears.
Should we do that?
Should we just go that shit? I like the question.
The whole thing, Jimmy, is that the God of the Bible.
You guys know that.
The God of the Bible is a monster, Jimmy. I wouldn't worship him even if it was real. And what you're telling me here is that we're going to go to hell, we're going to send people to hell, but at the end of the day, what you believe is that there's this guy, and he controls the whole universe, and he made hell. First of all, what kind of a dick makes hell? That's a horrible thing in the first place. Second of all, he creates the rules for the universe, and then makes us so that we will break the rules, and then punishes us for breaking the rules that he made us break. That's a dumb, stupid, useless, mean, cruel, ignorant, arrogant, terrible God. And I'm very happy that there's no good reason to believe in it.
Unfortunately, you're wrong, but number one.
What are we wrong about? What are we wrong about?
Like number one, the Bible says the fool says in his heart there's no God, and the fool says in his heart, the Bible says that the fool says in his heart
Okay, my book says the fool says in his heart that there is a God.
Yeah,
does that mean anything to you?
This is it's just inevitably Jimmy, it's inevitably going to come back. This is it's not going to be progressive because all you're going to do is just go inevitably go, some book says a thing. Every time you've done it, you've just assumed the truth of this thing, which we don't accept. You just go back to some book says a fucking thing. Why should we accept what the book says? You bring up the fool stuff. Why should we give a shit about that?
If we don't believe your God is real, why would we care what it wants?
Why should we give a shit about that?
If we don't believe your God is real, why would we care what it wants?
And it's literally the oldest trick in the book. The way to make your group believe your bullshit is to tell them that everybody that disagrees with you is just an idiot.
Exactly.
It's like everybody does that. It's boring.
Yeah.
It's not special. Like, honestly, I'm surprised that you aren't preaching the word of the Quran because, you're leading people to hell. How could you do this? I know, but why not? Because it says in the Quran that a fool believes in the Christian Bible.
I know, he's saying that. Jimmy, you're not listening. He's saying you are a Muslim. He said, he was giving a hypothetical, a conditional if you were a Muslim.
Yes.
You just don't look, this isn't going to be productive. You don't listen to anything anybody's saying. All you're really worried about is just making something like meta attack.
Here, look, if you discovered a contradiction in your text, would that be enough for you to like reassess it? I'm not gonna say walk away, for you to like hone it down a little bit, question it a little bit? Or like, are you just so like, I don't really give a shit if I'm right or wrong, you don't really care about that, what is it?
Okay, can I answer that question? That's a very good question.
Yeah, it is a question.
Yeah. Okay, let me answer that question. Give me time to answer the question. I'll go to the song that has the authority and ask them to clarify what this contradiction is all about. I'll not just dismiss it, I'll ask more questions. I'll do my investigations. That's what I'll do.
Sure. And take a step further, which is what J. Mike was asking, which is, okay, so you do that, and then you come to a conclusion that is sufficient for you, that it is actually a contradiction. Does that make you reassess? Do you step back and go, gosh, I don't know what to do with this. Maybe I'll look even further now that I do agree this is a contradiction.
Yeah, I told you to answer your question. Yes,
Okay, so hold on. Okay, yes, you said yes, but hold on. I don't know if Elliot's, we're on the same page here, but all I want to do in this is kind of show you the perspective of, because you're sitting like, all you want to do is, blaspheme, all you want to do, you're going to send people to hell, and all you want to do is all this stuff, you add this meta stuff. But I want to try to peel back the curtain and show how people end up deconstructing these beliefs when they find this little thing there. Find that little thing there, and I want to see if that's reasonable for you to understand how someone can go, okay, let me go ask somebody about this, which, by the way, your response is, that's perfect. Like, yeah, you should go inquire more about it. But would you see how, like, when you do this more and more and more, you get into, like, New Testament scholarship, and holy shit, all this stuff we have that is, like, more supported that Jesus said if we're going to, bite this bullet, Jesus existed, is going to be apocalyptic stuff that he failed at, right? And do you understand, like, when you get from point A to eventually point D, it becomes a little bit easier to kind of throw the coat off, the Christian coat, and you can kind of just put on a new shirt? And can you understand that it's not just like, I want to sin, I want to do this, it's that this is a progress that takes a while. Nobody pops in the fucking microwave and comes out an atheist. It's like a crock pot. You stew for a fucking long ass time until you get to that position.
I'd love an atheist.
So it's really just fucking insulting, especially for all the people in the audience or other people who came from these beliefs, to just dismiss this entire fucking process that they went through and just assume that all they want to do is sin. Do you know how many people have probably spent like endless nights just crying, like desperately calling people they don't know, getting on a Discord or a TikTok to talk to people about this? I talk to these people. Not a single one of them is like, I feel like sinning today.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Just really want to piss God off. Yeah. I feel like sending people to hell today. That's what I want to do.
Can I answer your question? What they can do about that is they can go to their pastors, go to their religious leaders.
Why don't they care about their pastors? What gives the pastor any more look, if I come up with something and I go to a pastor, he's motivated to get me to see it from some other perspective.
Exactly.
If your view is just to go to a pastor, but not, hey, go to a skeptic, go to an atheist, go to a naturalist, go to a Muslim. If you don't have that in there as well, you're biased as fuck.
Yeah, and again, just like Jamie was saying, Jimmy, shut up, Jimmy. It's frustrating. It's frustrating when you tell us, look, J. Mike didn't grow up religious, right? You didn't.
I had like some weird spiritual,
right? Okay, but like I definitely did, man. Forrest?
No.
Okay, so I can tell you for a fucking fact, man. I talked with my goddamn pastor. I didn't just wake up one day and go, I don't know, I kind of feel weird about Jesus and the whole magic bread and wine shit. Like, no, dude, I spent fucking years trying really hard. And what I think is so important, man, is the idea that if you genuinely find something that is a contradiction, that is sufficient for you, okay? Because everybody always says, well, what do you need for it to be a fuck all that nonsense, man? You've got in your brain a moment, a switch, where if you go, I see this, that definitely is a contradiction. And if in that moment you're tempted to just go, I'm still going to find a way to make this work, you really want to reassess that fucking shit, man. That is absolutely confirmation bias. That is you sitting fully in a space of cognitive dissonance. And I'll just tell you this. It sucks. It really does. It's not super comfortable. But the good news is that is often a glorious opportunity to become incredibly educated on something and have a much better life, man. So, like, take that fucking chance, dude. Stop just living in this space and just being like, everybody that doesn't agree with me is actually just a dick. Like, I don't know, maybe they are, but it's probably not.
Yeah, we'll bring you back now, Jimmy, and I've got one more question for you, and then we're going to move on. I want you to respond to what Ellen just said.
What I'm trying to say is that, okay, instead of the contradiction in the Bible, like I said, you go to your pastor, you pray about it, and you ask God to reveal it to you. How why is there so much contradiction? Number two, you do not just dismiss it wholeheartedly and just go the other way and go back into the world and start sinning again. Because if you sin, you know you're going to go straight to hell. So when you
boring as shit. You haven't spent any fucking time on this.
Jimmy, I just want to ask you, like, just really, I have two very quick questions, and I really appreciate if you could answer them succinctly instead of just preaching at us. Like, just seriously. Question number one is, if we don't believe that the Bible is real, and we don't believe your God is real, why do you think that threats of hell are going to scare us? If we don't think hell is real, and we don't think it is real, why not approach us with, like, evidence and a good reason to believe in your God?
No, because that's a very good question. That's a very excellent question.
Thank you. From a guy
for example, you guys don't believe hell is real.
Yeah.
But the Bible says there's a plan unto man wants to die, once after there is judgment. So I just care about you, I love you, that's why I call this show from time to time.
Okay.
You guys to see that.
I'm getting a lot of signals from you,
Jimmy, then why don't you address what J-Mike brought up earlier? Other holy books, like the Quran, for example, clearly talks about their hell, and they say the exact same thing that the Bible says. You gotta believe this or you go to hell. Why aren't you afraid of the Muslim hell, the Hindu hell, or any of the other thousands of hell on offer?
Okay, that's a good question. I'm not Muslim, I'm not Hindu, I'm a Christian.
We've understood that the entire time.
But why aren't you afraid of their hells? Why are you afraid of going to hell the way that the Quran says?
I told you I'm not a Muslim.
We fucking know that you're not Muslim.
Watch this back. I promise you, there is no doubt in our mind that you are a Christian. We've known it the whole time. Jimmy, there are over 40,000 denominations of Christianity, many of which are incompatible with each other. Why aren't you afraid of the hells of the other 39,999 flavors of Christianity that think that you're doing Christianity wrong and you're going to go to hell? Why aren't you afraid of the other Christian hells?
Because I'm not heard about the other Christian hell. I just know about one Christian. I don't know about 39 different. I don't know about 40 different thousand Christianities out there. I just know about one Christian. I don't know about the other 40,000 Christianities.
So Jimmy, all you're saying is, I believe this, therefore I believe this. And I'm trying to get across to you the same reason that you aren't worried about the Muslim hell, the same reason that you're not worried about the Hindu hell, the same reason you're not worried about the 39,999 other Christian hells, is the same reason that I'm not worried about your hell. I don't think it's real. I'm not bought in. And you're sitting here saying, yeah, and what you're telling me over and over is, yeah, I get that, but I do believe it. And that's not an argument. If I sit here and tell you that I think Bigfoot's real, and you say I don't believe you, I can't just say, yeah, but I do, motherfucker, so you better fucking act right, otherwise Bigfoot's coming for you. It doesn't work that way, right? So you've got to just understand that calling in here to yell at us and tell us we're going to hell and that we're singing all these things doesn't make a damn bit of difference unless you can convince us that God is real and worth worshiping. And I don't think either of those are true. I don't think your God is real, and if he is, he's a dick. I don't want anything to do with him. them.
Do you understand that, Jimmy? Immediately they start getting laughing like this.
Alright, can I ask you one question?
I want you to answer my question first. Do you understand that I don't think your God is real, and if he is real, I don't like him, and you need to prove to me that God is real and worth worshiping before I give half a shit about what your hell is and what your book says. Do you understand that?
I do understand that. Can I answer my question?
Yes.
Okay, what do you believe happens to us when we die then? What do you guys believe?
Who the fuck knows?
I rot unless I'm cremated. I don't. I rot.
What happens to us when we die then? What do you guys believe?
Who the fuck knows?
I rot unless I'm cremated. I don't think that there's any such. Yes.
Okay, what do you believe happens to us when we die then? What do you guys believe?
Who the fuck knows?
I rot unless I'm cremated. I don't think that there's any such thing as a soul. I don't think there's any such thing as life after death. I don't think there's anything like heaven or anything like. I think that my brain stops working, my mind disappears, my body rots in the ground, and it's done. I think that's everything that I know for sure happens. Everything else is religious speculation. I have no evidence of a soul. I have no evidence of an afterlife. I have no evidence of any kind of a mind persisting after the body is decomposed. All I know for sure is that bodies rot after they're dead, and that they don't get back up again, and that minds are attached to brains. Those are the things that I'm damn positive on.
You can't have those minds without like third generation stars, for example, or
Precisely.
like prior to that. There's no mentality. Why would we think that process would not be equally as finite?
So
as something like a proto-planetary day.
And so, as far as I'm concerned, I have, average human lifespan in this country is maybe 80 years if you're lucky. I just turned 32 this last month. I've used up almost half the time I have. And I spent half of that just learning how to like walk and eat and be a person and shit. So I've got a very, very small amount of time on this planet, and then I'm done, and I don't think I go anywhere. Complete annihilation awaits my entire personality. And I am choosing to dedicate this precious moment in the sun to trying to make people's lives better. Because shows like this, I think, do real good. Because religions like yours, I think, are deeply harmful to both individuals and societies. I don't think that anything's going to happen to me after I die. I'm here because I fucking love you, Jimmy, and my love doesn't include a magical theme park in the sky if I'm good enough.
And I think exactly what Forrest just said about the harm is on display right here, Jimmy.
Yes.
Hang on, Jimmy.
Yes, it is.
Jimmy. What's on display is that harm Forrest was talking about, because what's happening, and I'm just seeing it just now as you're responding and saying, what happens after you die, after all of this back and forth conversation, and you just revert to something like that, man, that is an illness.
That is fear.
That is, you were given this fear and fucking virus, man. They gave it to you, they infected your ass, man. I'm telling you, and it is just eating you alive right now. And I'm here to tell you, there is a cure, baby. It's critical thinking and skepticism. You can get to the other side. You don't have to live in this shit existence anymore, man. Like, don't worry about it. The water is so much better over here. Don't be worried about anything about it. They do. And you do get better looking. It is a thing. It's like once you stop.
I saw that at the beginning. That Jimmy will come to our show are 40%, 15% our heads proven.
I think all three of us, like, we wouldn't even have a relationship if we were, like, we're still theists, right? Yeah, we're no, okay. Do we have anything else for?
No, Jimmy,
guys, I'm all cashed out.
Jimmy, man, you know what I hope? I hope that you call me again sometime and just talk to me a little bit about what you're believing, because at the end of the day, I think what you're spewing here comes from a place of fear. And I think I believe you when you say that you care about me, and I believe you when you say you care about other people. I think that you've been scared by a boogeyman for a little bit too long, and I want to help disabuse you of the notion that anything bad's going to happen to me and then I die. And I also want to disabuse you of the notion that anything that would punish people with conscious torture and fire for all eternity for the sin of not stroking his ego enough is not something worth worshiping. With that, Jimmy, we're going to let you go. We've been on the phone for like 20 minutes. You've been yelling at us a whole bunch. We're going to move on.
Mac from the first call that we tried. Let's let Mac have his phone call now. Hey Mac, how are you? You're on with Seth and Eve.
I'm well. How's my audio now?
You're great. I'm sorry. Thank you for calling back and for bearing with us.
Yeah, no, your call screener is very patient with me. Anyway, Eve, congratulations on your upcoming wedding. And,
thank you. It already happened. I'm married. I'm married.
Congratulations, then.
Thank you.
And Seth, I wish I could have met you at BajaCon, but too bad. I think I was out of the country. Anyway, so I'm calling because I wanted to put forth an argument for the existence of God that Matt has declined to hear. But I'm glad you guys are here. Let's see what you think. So God is necessary for intelligibility. Is a necessary precondition for intelligibility. 2, we have intelligibility. Therefore, God exists.
Define intelligibility for me, would you?
The ability
to me, this already just sounds like a circular argument, so I just want to understand exactly what you're saying.
It is, to be sure, but it's what's called virtuously circular, because it appeals to the transcendental. So,
okay, sorry,
we have arguments.
Defining.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry?
I'm making notes of various words. I'm still stuck on
would you say that
intelligibility.
I'm sorry, I'm watching the video and there's a huge delay.
Focus on us, follow our voices.
So Seth, intelligibility is the ability to reason or to make sense of things. So have you ever heard the term Stephen Colbert coined it, truthiness?
I know what truthiness is.
Yeah, it's what gives facts truthiness. It's the fact that we can make sense of each other, that we have the ability for sense making, intelligibility. So God, the Christian God specifically, due to his property set, is the necessary precondition for intelligibility. The fact that we have it proves that the Christian God exists.
So this is a precept argument, essentially.
Correct.
Yeah.
I can see why Matt didn't
I see why Matt didn't
You don't know
are we going to contend with it rather than
I'm sorry. It's intelligibility, which is virtuously circular, and it deals with the transcendental. I mean, we've got a lot of terms that are floating about that honestly are empty calorie terms that I can't really do anything with. And I don't presuppose the existence of a God. And according to your description up here, the Christian God specifically, I don't presuppose any God, and I certainly don't presuppose the Christian God. So you're asking us to take an awful long leap, several.
Yeah, multiple leaps. And I think the main thing I have a problem with is if we even give you just some of these, let's say that some of these problems you listed are actually problems, which that hasn't been demonstrated. Therefore, God is, that's still, I mean, so even if we kind of like gave you all of the precepts leading up to it, the final like massive precept is just, to me, that's just not even an interesting conversation, I guess is why Matt didn't take it. But
so what grounds, like let's take a claim like Seth went to BajaCon, okay? What grounds that? What necessary ultimate thing grounds that fact?
What grounds the fact that I decided to go because I was invited, got on a plane, arrived, and took the stage and spoke at the event? What determined that?
Those are just the events that lead up to it. What instantiates the verisimilitude of
Jesus Christ.
Of the
truth thesaurus, and let's talk in real life, everyday terms.
Okay,
it's not an argument rather than take issue with my verbiage.
I feel like
because we want to understand the argument.
I think you're asking me what question? What preceded my trip to Baja Con? What informed my decision?
What causes that fact to have the quality of being true rather than the quality of being bicycle?
Because he actually went there and was there.
Okay, and what instantiates the transcendentals, i.e., what there means, or what went means, or what true means?
I don't know.
What necessary precondition is behind that?
You keep using that word. I do not think it means what do you think it means. Little Princess Bride for you there, folks. Darkman and Princess Bride, two genres meet on the same broadcast today. Mac, this is in my ears, and I don't think it's my fault. Word salad. I can make no sense of it. I certainly can't take the leap to presupposing a Christian God. I wonder why in the world you would have bought a ticket to spend a weekend at the Blue Water Atheist Humanist Conference in Sarnia, Ontario. What would motivate you to have gone to that event anyway?
Well, being from Ontario, number one, and two, being a former atheist who was plugged into that whole community, not the Blue Water specifically, but I would be eager to see what people had to say.
Oh, so you would be there to receive and hear the information and engage in a productive way.
Yes, he was.
It would not have been a rescue mission.
That is a very generous, charitable, sarcastic...
No, I'm not being sarcastic. What I'm wondering, I think in my mind, and I'll just ask it overtly, is would it have been for you a rescue mission? Would it have been a missions trip? Would you have gone to an atheist conference in Sarnia as an ex-atheist, and I've heard that one before, who is pitching the Christian God? Would you have been there evangelized?
Yes, but if I can be disabused of the presuppositionalist argument, I think my Christianity would not hold up.
Matt, can I ask you a couple questions? And you're going to have to dumb it down for me. I was homeschooled. My vocabulary...
Yeah. How long ago? 5 minutes ago. Huh? 5 minutes ago. Just 5 minutes? Yeah. Okay.
Not where yours is at. And I think that we can still have an honest conversation, and you sound smart enough to be able to explain it to me. But I'm just curious, why did you become a Christian? For you personally, not why you think that we should believe in a God, but like what was it that changed your mind? And if it's personal experience, that's fine. I'm just curious. You said you were an atheist, and now you believe so much that you would buy a ticket and attend an event, and then attempt to woo atheists.
Okay. Yes. Night.
Atheists into believing what you believe. So what is it that really changed your mind that strongly?
Well, I was an atheist, and I was engaged in a lot of arguments against Christians, specifically on Discord. I ran into, I think, one of the most well-versed, but still controversial apologist by the name of Darth Dawkins, who, and I thought that it would be a slam dunk, the Bible is full of slavery and genocide, and the Noah's flood didn't happen, and evolution is true, and blah blah. He pointed out, well, you really have no grounding to make any claims whatsoever, because you can't appeal to anything except your capricious human will, and your own kind of your own empty claims, based on your fallible, sense. sense. Based on your fallible, senses. Whereas I have the infallible, inerrant word of a holy, omniscient God in this here Bible.
So, hold on.
Made a whole bunch of it, and then has a whole bunch of
because somebody lost a debate? Is that what you're saying? Because I don't know.
No, I became a Christian because the Holy Spirit convicted me of my sin.
What does that mean?
You know what it means because you've been immersed in that culture for...
I have heard, anytime I ask somebody, there's a wildly different answer from each person. So I'm asking for you, what did that mean? Was it a feeling? Did a Bible fall on your head? Like, what was it exactly that... This is a genuine question. I'm asking, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, no, I understand. I realize that I am damned before a just and holy God, and I cried out to God in repentance and knew that
none of these are an answer to Eve's question. None of these. You are parroting to us Christian language that we spoke for decades, right? We were all born in sin. There was no one worthy, no, not one. I cried out to Jesus, and in the darkness, He is my light. And I said the salvation prayer, and I felt that shift of the Spirit, blah, 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 right? Well, all of this is a personal experience claim that could be made by anybody from any faith, anywhere. So I think what she's asking, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but she's like, what specifically? Was it just that inner voice from the Holy Spirit rooted in Christianity that caused you to change?
Well, it wasn't an inner voice per se. Well, that was my, conversion experience from maybe, open theism to Christianity. But it was through losing all these debates on Discord as an arrogant, stuck-up atheist who thought he knew who thought he could slam dunk against these Christians, who seemed ignorant and bigoted and
You're a frequent caller to these shows, aren't you?
No, this is only my second. I called AIT once, and
I saw somebody say something about Darth Dawkins before I heard the invocation. So somebody saw you coming. I'm sorry, Eve. I'm going to step back. Go ahead.
No, please. I don't recall what the last thing is.
I myself, there's nothing here for me to sink my teeth into.
I have one question real quick.
Oh, forgive me, Eve. Go ahead.
You said something about how you were an arrogant debater who thought they knew everything and condescending and bigot and all that. How do you know that you're not just doing the same thing on the other side now? I believe you that maybe you were arrogant and I know exactly what type of atheist you're talking about. It's not like that doesn't exist. But I'm just curious, how are you not wrong again? And you're just bad at debating.
I don't claim to... Yeah, I can concede that I'm not a good debater. But how do I know I'm not wrong? Because God has revealed that He is that necessary precondition for intelligibility. God has revealed that both through creation and the Bible. So the fact that God has told us that this is the way it is,
God hasn't told me shit.
Is the evidence.
If an Islamist, if a devout Muslim was to say to you that Allah revealed Himself to me, I know in my heart I had a personal experience, and the Quran explains the origins of all things, and therefore the Islamic God is true, then you would take that at face value.
I'm glad you asked that. So the Islamic God has boasted to be the greatest of all deceivers. So we can never know whether or not he's lying.
But the Islamic God says that the Christians are worshiping a false God and a false faith, and they've got it wrong. How would I know the difference?
The Muslims also admit that they accept the Christian gospel and the Jew and the Torah. So they say, okay, we accept all greatest of all deceivers. So we can never know whether or not he's boasted to be the greatest of all deceivers. So we can never know whether or not he's...
Therefore, the Islamic God is true, then you would take that at face value.
I'm glad you asked that. So the Islamic God has boasted to be the greatest of all deceivers. So we can never know whether or not he's lying.
But the Islamic God says that the Christians are worshiping a false God and a false faith, and they've got it wrong. How would I know that
the Muslims also admit that they accept the Christian gospel and the Jew and the Torah. So they say, okay, we accept all this stuff, but the Christian scriptures refute the Islamic scriptures. So the Muslims say the Christians are right, at least as far as that goes.
No,
the Christians say the Muslims are wrong. Therefore, the Muslims are wrong.
I'm sorry. 1.5 billion Muslims, and you're going to speak for all of them in front of everybody here. You're going to speak for them all. First of all, they don't see Jesus as a savior figure. Jesus is just another prophet. Muhammad is their prophet. And so they don't accept wholesale the claims of the Christian Bible and Christianity. Otherwise, they would be Christians. In fact, many of the jihads, many of the conquests that have happened in our history have happened against other faiths, including Christianity, for being false faith. So I disagree that Islam accepts Christianity as being a religion of merit.
Well, they accept the validity of the scriptures to an extent.
To what extent?
Those scriptures. You'll have to ask
20%? 15%? How much is literal? How much is metaphor? How much is false gospel?
It's okay because the Muslim God isn't ultimate. The Christian God being triune is ultimate.
Now, how do you know that?
Because being triune is a greater property than being monist.
So if the book for the Christian faith just claims that there is a triune God, the three-in-one deity.
It reveals, not claims. You're making category error.
So you are then saying it is revealing a truth that has been demonstrated elsewhere?
Well, it's demonstrated in creation, and it's demonstrated through the revelation.
But if the Islamist then says Allah is demonstrated through creation and revelation, you are facing the same argument with a different faith. You see where I'm going? You can use the Bible to prove the Bible all the time. You can use personal experience to prove God, and you will be in the same camp as thousands of other religions. And it just doesn't carry any weight with us. I don't want to spend too much time here.
Given that God has revealed that any scripture or prophet that comes after that is like heretical and to be put to death, that automatically dismisses Islam as a contender.
Oh, it sounds like Islam had its edicts against the infidel and said that those false prophets and those false believers should be put to death. Strange. So you would accept that out of the Quran?
No, but Islam accepts all the prophets of the Jewish and Christian tradition too.
No, they do not.
They do. They accept at least the prophethood of all those figures.
All I've heard in 15 minutes is I presupposed the Christian God, a specific deity with a proper name, and it's true because it is. And maybe a little personal experience. So that's three things. That's all I've heard. And I can't do anything with those.
It's because it must be. Because in order for truth claims to be true, there has to be something sentient, like a thinking mind. And it has been revealed that that's the case.
To whom and how?
To all of you, to all of us.
No, it hasn't because it's not been revealed.
We're waiting on our revelation.
And you know this.
Romans chapter 1, verse 18 to 20.
I don't give a shit about the Bible any more than I give a shit about the Quran, and you know this. You should know these arguments if you were in the Discord chats, being one of those annoying atheists, hounding people for the same things that you're now doing.
Hey, this is a call-in show. You invite theists to call in.
Correct, and Matt didn't take your call because it's pre-sup, and we're still talking to you, and we're trying to get you to actually answer some of our questions, and I don't know that any of them got answered over the course of 18 minutes.
I'm not seeing how I didn't answer questions.
Because claiming that something's been revealed, and then not giving any evidence to back that claim, is not an answer.
The evidence, the revelation is self-attesting.
Then why are you calling? If it's self-attesting, then why are you calling? If you have nothing to show for it other than to say it is, therefore it is, then what is the point of this conversation?
Because you're suppressing the truth and you claim to be atheist.
What truth are we suppressing? We've been talking to you for 18 minutes, waiting on you to reveal the truth, and you still haven't. You've said that the truth
God
is revealed.
exists.
You've made claims, and you haven't provided any of the actual revelation. There's no evidence to what you're saying. Other people can call, just like Seth said, and make up another God that none of us have ever even heard of, and make the same claims, and say it's been revealed, it's been revealed. Okay, where?
Through natural and special revelation.
There's nothing else to do with it. You can't say in creation and in conscience, because that's a common Christian apologetic. God is revealed in creation and in conscience, and it is
I didn't
also
say
used.
conscience. I said scripture.
Okay, well, a variation then, but the divine revelation in creation and quoting us the book of Romans. That and about $5 will get you a cup of coffee. Okay, because we can't do anything with it. So I think we're good, Matt. Thank you for the call. You certainly given the chat a lot to talk about.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for taking my call, and hope you have a nice evening.
Thanks,
See you later.
You too. Bye-bye. Yeah, that's why Matt doesn't take precept calls, because they just go the same way. There's like not even space for there to be something unique that comes out of it, because it's just like, well, this is true because I decided that this has to be true.
What I enjoyed the most about the call, though, was the intelligibility and the virtuously circular approach to the transcendent. Moved me in my heart because of the triune God that was speaking through creation, and that's all.
Have you seen those pranks where they they take two phones and they'll call like Papa John's Pizza, and then they'll call the other Papa John's Pizza location on the other phone and have them talk to each other, and they don't know who called who? I really would like to do that with that guy and Jordan Peterson, and just have them talk back and forth.
You know, there is a Jordan Peterson phrase generator on the internet. There's one for Deepak Chopra too. It's a website, and you just go and it's like, here's the wisdom of Chopra. I think that's the name of the website, wisdomofchopra.com. And there's one for Jordan Peterson, and you click a button, and it will just give you a word salad, nothing statement that is supposed to sound deep and profound, but it's total empty calories, or it's just nonsense. It's crazy stuff, but they're a lot of fun to use if anybody's bored enough to visit those web pages.
Maybe that's what he was using, the Jordan Peterson one, to have this conversation. That would make more sense than anything else. So.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Well, I do appreciate that he was civil and that we still, had a conversation.
Do you feel like the arrogant thing when I was an arrogant atheist? Do you feel like that was a jab? You feel like that's there was some subtext?
Oh yeah.
God damn it.
For sure. Which is why I was happy to point out that has nothing to do with being an atheist. If you were that then, you probably still are. So.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, if you liked this video, why don't you click that like button?
And if you didn't like it,
you would subscribe. Okay.
You didn't give me a chance.
It was such a long pause.
What, are you on speed or something? I barely had a chance.
Hey, I hope you like. Hey there. I hope you liked that clip. Hey, I hope you liked that clip or just now, the one that you just watched with your eyes. If you did like it, why don't you click that like button?
And if you didn't like it, tell Jimmy to go fuck himself.
Hey, I hope you liked that clip right now. If you did like it, why don't you hit that like button?
And if you didn't like it, go ahead and subscribe anyway.
Let's talk about it. Sure. Okay, sure. Is the fine-tuning here because the creator had intention?
The fine-tuning is here because there was an intent that was originally encapsulated in all of it. And according to the script,
it's a yes or no question. Does the creator create with intent or not?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Okay. Did he create the earth with intent?
100%.
Did he create mankind with intent?
100%.
Great. Then the evidence is against you because the Earth is 97% covered. 97% of the water that covers the Earth is poisonous to drink. Children are born with bone cancer.
Sure.
And in fact, the world is constantly trying to execute its inhabitants, which means
Absolutely.
if the Earth was designed with an intention, the intention is clearly evil.
But yeah, absolutely. Listen. The Earth was designed with perfect intent. What happened is the scriptures actually goes to great extent to explain this in great detail. I recommend
you're about to invalidate your whole argument.
Well, sure, but listen.
Don't do it. You're gonna get cooked.
I'll King Sullivan the fuck out of you.
But I recommend going to the source.
I've read it.
Basically, what happened is we went from a perfect example, and what we did was through the power handed over to us, we have destroyed the perfection.
Okay.
The destruction of the perfection as we moved away from the Creator.
You just destroyed your whole talking point then. Your talking point was that fine-tuning is evidence for God, but what I find is chaos. And now, because you know it's chaos, now you're making up an excuse. Well, it's chaos because God had to make it chaos because human beings were bad. Which means, stop it. That means you've invalidated your initial point. Your initial point was that we have fine-tuning, and fine-tuning demonstrates God's existence. But when we look at the individual components of the fine-tuning, it's actually chaos. And now you're saying, oh, well, it's chaos for a reason. But if it's chaos and it's not fine-tuning, then you've invalidated the fine-tuning argument.
Except no. What I'm saying is that fine-tuning is evident of a benevolent Creator. Power has actually been handed to us. It's not an argument I'm making up.
He doesn't get it.
Thousands of years.
You didn't get your point. Okay. When we observe the Earth, do we observe chaos or fine-tuning?
Both.
Both. Okay. Why is there chaos if God fine-tuned it for us?
Because sin.
Oh, okay. So then fine-tune.
I'm telling you exactly what happened.
You're not. I'm trying to help you understand that the second you say that we see chaos,
damn it,
you invalidate the fine-tuning argument. So what you're suggesting now is that we see chaos. Chaos is inconsistent with fine-tuning. Therefore, now we need an excuse for why the chaos is here.
No, it's not. If you gave me a clock, if you made a clock that worked perfectly, you gave it to me, and I did not operate it to the instruction that you gave it to me, and I manipulated the clock, and it starts going off order. It still might work in terms of its movements, but the time is wrong. It's the gears getting jammed. That decay isn't the result of you as the Creator. It's the result of
we know.
As the manipulator.
We all know it. You don't have to keep explaining it. We've heard this argument 100 times. I'm trying to help you understand. We didn't receive a perfect clock. We have no evidence of a perfect clock. See, you're saying that the Earth was like a clock that was perfect. It was handed to us, and then we broke it. What is the evidence that we ever had the perfect clock? Because the only evidence we have is the broken clock.
Because the broken clock is the evidence we have is because that's what you rely on, the observation of the world around you today.
That's not answering my question.
Not exactly.
In your analogy, the Earth is the clock. You're saying there was once a perfectly working clock.
Yes.
And now we have a broken clock. What is the evidence that we ever had the non-broken clock?
The scriptures. And actually,
okay, that's what I was getting at. Thank you. The scriptures. That's your evidence. Now, this is where you're going to get cooked because I know the scripture is better than any other topic we're going to talk about tonight.
That's good.
So let's talk about the scriptures because you're saying now we've got the broken clock and the scripture explains why we have the broken clock. Now, just so you're aware, if the scriptures aren't true, then I have no reason to believe that there was ever a non-broken clock, right?
I mean, if there was scriptures not true, I mean, that means what's true then? What is?
No, it's an easy question. If the scriptures aren't true, then the logical extension is that we just have the broken clock. We never had the perfect clock.
No, if the scriptures aren't true, that means the logical conclusion is that we wouldn't know. Period.
Oh, so then we have no reason to claim that there was ever a non-broken clock.
No, it is because you're making assumptions.
You said the proof that we had the non-broken clock is the scriptures, but if the scriptures aren't true, then we have no reason to believe that there's ever a non-broken clock.
No.
This is crazy. The logical hula hoops you're trying to avoid right now are unbelievable. Okay, so you're making a claim. You're making a claim that there was once a perfect earth, and the only evidence you have of the perfect earth is the scriptures. So if the scriptures aren't true, that means you have no evidence of a perfect earth. But that being said, I can't wait. I know, fantastic. I can't wait to talk about why your God fucked up the earth. Now, explain to me why there are hurricanes, volcanoes, earthquakes, and tsunamis.
Okay, why are there weather effects? Why is there death? Why is there decay? Why is there destruction?
Can't wait. What's the explanation?
Listen, and it's very simple. This all goes because the order that things were supposed to work, the abilities that we were supposed to have to manipulate, to control, we were given dominion, and you know the stuff you heard before.
I know the story.
We were given dominion over everything, not just
say the answer. We all know the stories.
Absolutely, we're given.
All right, Silix. Just hold on for a second. Everyone here knows the Bible better than you do. You don't have to tell us the whole story. Just give us the answer. We all know the story.
If they knew the Bible better than me, then they would believe what was written.
No, they wouldn't. We literally don't believe it because we have read it. So just tell us the answer. Why do we have tornadoes, earthquakes, tsunamis, and volcanoes?
Why? Because, again, I'm answering it. Because this is what the broken clock looks like.
All right, I'll just give you the answer. The answer, according to the Bible, is because God cursed the earth because of the fall of man. You see how that only took 10 seconds to say, even less?
Yeah, but
we don't need listen, nobody needs a whole story. If I ask you a question, just give me the simple answer to the question. We all know the answer already. We've all been through this argument. I've had this same discussion 5,000 times. You're not going to bring anything new to the table. So the answer to the question is that the way the earth is now, the reason why we have natural disasters is because of the fall of man, yes or no?
Correct.
Fantastic. Now, why were those the consequences of the fall?
Because we were given free will and dominion and control over everything that God created in this realm.
Not an answer. Why were those specifically the consequences?
They're not specific consequences. There's more consequences than that.
Who decided what the consequences would be?
We did.
No, God did.
No, we did.
Wrong. We'll try this again. Who decided what would happen when Adam and Eve sinned?
We did.
Wrong. God did. We'll try this again. Who decided that nature would change when Adam and Eve sinned?
Again, we did.
Wrong. We'll try this from the very beginning. Okay. Did Adam and Eve create nature?
No.
Do they have the powers of creation?
Procreation, yes.
Do they have the power to manipulate the earth?
Yes, 100%.
Okay, so did Adam and Eve have the power to create tornadoes, earthquakes, tsunamis, and volcanoes?
I mean, we don't know that.
No, God did. God did. So Stop, Silix. I'm tired of you just being obtuse. This is very easy. The consequence of the fall were God's decision. God said they sinned, and therefore this is what I'm going to do. So God decided what the consequences would be. Just like if you told your kid, if you get in trouble in school one more time, you're grounded. You decided what the consequence of them going to school and getting in trouble is. Now, you didn't make them get in trouble. They still chose to get in trouble. But you were the one that decided what the consequence of the trouble would be. The same way Adam and Eve chose to eat the fruit, God decided what the consequence of that would be. Do you understand?
No, well, that's what I'm saying. You're wrong. I'm saying you're
okay. Then show me in the Bible where it says that Adam and Eve decided that after they ate the fruit, they would create earthquakes, tsunamis, and volcanoes.
No. So think of it this way. Let me use an analogy. Like you.
No. Show me in the Bible.
Let's see. I'm going to Genesis, right? Genesis chapter 3. Where just the same way when God said those curses against man. Think about it. If God had something in the perfect way and said, "This is what you need to do to exist in this perfect way," everything will work perfectly. The moment you step outside of perfection, you become, or you hand over the control, the power, the construct, the designation for these things over to chaos.
Show me in the Bible where it says that.
Genesis 3, that's where it is.
I've got Genesis 3 open. What verse?
Because you listen to, right here. So first, it starts with the serpent. Then it goes to the woman. We can say verse 12. We start verse 12. Adam blames the woman for deceiving him.
I want to see the part where Adam and Eve decide that natural disasters are going to happen.
Oh no! Their decision was when they sinned.
Oh, okay. So were they ever told that if they ate the apple, or it's not an apple, it just says peri in Hebrew, which doesn't mean apple. That comes from the Latin.
Sure.
Where in the text does it say that if they sinned, that there would be natural disasters?
It says, "In the day that you eat of the fruit, you will surely die."
Yeah, and does that say natural disasters, or does it say die?
Do natural disasters kill people?
Yeah, they do. But did it say natural disasters, or did it just say that you would die?
Well, think about it. Did natural disasters kill people?
Natural disasters do. Did Adam and Eve get killed by natural disaster?
We don't know.
Okay, fantastic. So it doesn't say that natural disasters will happen. It just says that they will die.
Well, what is a natural disaster? Think about it.
Listen, hey, just stop spazzing out. I don't know why you think talking over me is ever going to work. I'm trying to follow a very easy, logical path. The text says nothing about natural disasters. Yes, natural disasters die, or kill people. You know what also kills people? Getting whacked with a pew-pew. Okay, but hold it, stop it. But that doesn't mean that Genesis 3 is saying that pew-pews are going to exist.
So a natural disaster is not a term used in the scriptures. That's a modern term that we have. Okay, so we agree. So what I'm saying is, if you read Genesis 3, if you realize the curse that is coming upon them,
and who cursed it?
This is all a result.
Who cursed it?
Walk away from the concept of perfection.
Who cursed it?
It is. When you tell your child, do not touch the stove.
Just stop talking and answer a question. Who cursed it, dummy?
You warned them not to do it.
Who cursed it?
Who cursed? Who gave the curse?
Yeah.
Well, the curse was mentioned when quoting from the Most High.
Yes, God cursed it. Thank you. Okay, just stop. Listen, stop. This doesn't hurt. This doesn't help your argument. Dodging my questions will never help your argument. You're never going to get ahead of my argument. You have no idea what my argument even is. So, if God cursed the earth, who is in charge for how the curse took place?
Who is in charge of the earth?
God is.
Who was given dominion over the earth?
It doesn't matter. God, stop it. You're not helping your case. Every time you run from my question, you're making yourself sound cowardly. Who decided what the curse would be?
So this is a loaded question. So the curse...
It's not a loaded question. It's just an easy question.
What's a curse? What is a curse?
God is the one who cursed the earth, yes or no?
What is a curse?
God is the one who cursed the earth, yes or no?
What is a curse?
God is the one who cursed the earth, yes or no?
No.
Listen, I will ask you the same question 4,000 times until you answer. I'm more stubborn than you are. Who cursed the earth?
Okay, so if you want me to say God cursed the earth to satisfy your argument, sure, you can say that.
That's what the book says.
But what is a curse, though? A curse is a result, is an outcome for a result of your actions. If I tell someone, if you drink a
curse is an act of God.
That's a curse.
It's not a curse.
It doesn't mean
that's a consequence.
Well, that's what this curse is.
No, curse is not a consequence.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
It's not.
Consequences are brought on by a curse.
It's wrong. Wrong. Curses are not consequences. Curses are something that God does. Curses are something that God does.
Yeah, see, I think you were saying the Hebrew term for how this is used.
You don't know the Hebrew term. What's the Hebrew word for curse?
I'll give you in 2 seconds.
There's 2 of them, by the way. He doesn't know it. That's why he's looking up.
God damn it.
Alright, no, so I had to look up because I don't want to misquote it, that's why.
There's 2 of them. Which one did you get?
I'm particularly using the one cited in Genesis 8, chapter 21.
Yeah,
I'm using that context, Kolel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, when we look at
and who curses?
I mean, anyone can curse. Like, you could curse me, I can curse you, but what curses take effect can only be from someone who at least tells someone.
So does the text say that Adam and Eve cursed the earth?
I didn't make that claim that Adam and Eve cursed the earth.
Okay, so who cursed the earth? Who cursed the earth and caused it to have natural disasters?
Adam and Eve.
Wrong.
So
you're honest. I'm not asking you if they sinned. I'm asking you who decided the consequence of the sin. This is very easy.
So you're okay. You're asking me a loaded question. So I'm giving you
It's not a loaded question. It's a logical question. Who decided ahead of time what the consequences of their sin would be?
Okay, in that case, you can say God.
Yes, that is the answer. Thank you. I don't know why it took you 30 minutes just to admit the easy answer. Yes, God was the one who decided that after they sinned, there would be a thing that happened. And the thing that happened in this particular analogy or this particular narrative is natural disaster. So the next question is, did God have to make natural disasters a consequence of the sin?
No, because natural disasters is a product of sin.
It's not. Okay. So who decided what the product of sin is?
Anything outside of perfection.
Who decided what the consequences of sin would be?
Anything outside of perfection.
Who decided what the consequences would be?
The opposite of perfection.
Who, not what. It's a who. Who decided what the consequences would be?
Well, are you asking, does God know the consequences?
Do you know the difference between a who and a what?
Well, loaded question.
Listen, being a coward doesn't make you look good. It's easy. Who was the one who decided that sin would even have a consequence?
So, God would say sin would have a consequence.
It's God, thank you. God is the one who decided that sin... God is the one who decided sin would have a consequence, yes or no?
Because he knows all.
I don't care if you think he knows all. Was God the one who decided that sin would have a consequence?
Sure, if he's perfect.
Okay.
Right?
Is God the one that decided what that consequence would be?
Or did he know?
Did God... I'm not asking you did he know. Did he decide? Did God make the decision that sin would have a particular consequence? Thank you, Gunslinger.
In the context that you're defining God, then yes, he would have determined the consequences for the sin.
Of course he did.
However, God being omniscient, knowing all, and creating things in perfection, had an ideal where there is no consequence.
I don't care.
And then once you go outside of perfection,
what's the opposite? That's meaningless, man. It has nothing to do with the argument we're having. What we're talking about is who's in charge for the consequences. And as it turns out, God was the one who decided that after Adam and Eve fell, he was going to create natural disasters. Did he have to do that as a consequence?
Yeah.
He had to. So God's not all-powerful.
No, he is. That's why he is all-powerful.
No, all-powerful beings don't have to do anything. What was the thing that was forcing God to create natural disasters?
He did. Because here's why.
Oh, he did. So God did it.
Here's why. Let's go back to
the pretzels that these Christians have to turn themselves into. I don't know how you get on somebody else's live with like 700 people watching and you don't find this to be embarrassing. These are easy yes or no questions. So God decided what the consequences would be. You already admitted that. Now I want to know, why is it that God had to make those the consequences?
He didn't. I already said that. He didn't.
Oh, so he didn't. Okay, so he chose to do it then, right?
No. Listen.
Sorry. No. Hold on. No. Stop. Hold on. No. Stop. No. Wrong. You're embarrassing yourself. You already said that God decided what the consequences of sin would be. Yes or no?
Listen. Let me go ahead.
Yes or no?
That's a loaded question.
It's not a loaded question. It's a logical question.
I'm not asking a loaded question.
Who decided what the consequence... If you don't answer my question, I'll drop you and move on to an actual adult that will answer questions. Who made the decision of what the consequences would be?
So under threat, I'll just say, to make you happy, to appease what you're saying, because you're threatening me to say what you want to say, I'll just say, yes, sure. That's God.
Because that's the true answer. Okay, so the actual answer... You're not responding until we finish. So the actual answer to the question is that God decided what the consequences would be, yes or no?
By your definition, I will say yes, because God is all
fantastic. Okay, so however, did he have to decide those specific consequences, or could he have decided on different consequences?
He didn't. So let's put it this way.
That's not answering my question. Traveling Hobo, thank you for the super chat. Big W for Traveling Hobo. I appreciate that. I don't know what country that's from, but I appreciate the super chat. I'm not going to let you squirm away. Did God have the consequences that God decided for sin? Did he have to use those consequences, or could he have made different consequences?
No, those were the consequences.
Does not answer my question. It's yes or no. Did he have to make those the consequences, or could he have made different consequences?
No, I'm just saying those were the consequences, period.
And why were they the consequences?
Okay, because they're consequences because when it was perfect, in perfection, the way things work properly.
He's never going to get it.
W
Solo, thank you for the $5 Solo. Solo says, apparently a loaded question is a question that one really doesn't want to answer, and that's the fact of the matter is. So, listen, you're just embarrassing yourself here. You've already admitted that God decided what the consequences of the sin were. No, you're not. Stop it. I'm gonna finish the whole talking point for you. Because you can't engage in actual dialogue. We can move on to the next point after this. So point number one is God decided what the consequences of the sin would be. You agreed with me. God has the capability, because he's omnipotent, he has the capability to make the consequences anything he wants to. If God is required to make them one way, then he's not omnipotent. So if you believe that he's omnipotent, you have to agree that he could have made the consequences any dab thing he wanted. He chose. Point number three. God chose. He decided what the consequences would be. And the logical conclusion is that God decided that natural disasters would be a thing, even though he didn't have to make them a thing. It was a decision that he made to make them a thing. And if God created everything with intention, and he acts with intention, then this could only lead to an intent of an evil entity that inflicts unnecessary suffering on humanity. Do you understand the whole breadth of the argument?
Sure, you're talking about Satan now. I'm
not talking about Satan.
Again, we're going back to, so go back to...
I didn't say anything about Satan.
You made a clock.
I didn't say anything about Satan. I'm talking about natural disasters.
I did. I know. I said it.
Address natural disasters.
If you make a clock.
Address natural disasters.
And if you make a clock for me, and you make it under a certain condition where it's supposed to work perfectly, through my decisions, I change that and go against what you said. And you say, because you have done this, the clock now is not going to tell the correct time. Because you said to me, did you make that curse where the clock is incorrect? No, you made it perfectly. I'm the one, who changed it, adjusted it, and messed up, even though you knew that was going to happen. Same thing works with God, the same exact way of creation. It was a perfect, well-working system. It was ideal. He said, do not do this, otherwise you're going to die. They do the exact same thing.
We all know the story. Just finish it already.
Chaos and the degradation and the breakdown of where we are today. That's why there's death. That's why there's natural disasters. That's why there's hurricane storms and tornadoes. And the thing is, according to Scripture...
All right, just stop talking. All you're doing is gish galloping now. Okay, so we're still on the clock analogy, because you are making a bad analogy. Okay, in the analogy, when we get the perfect clock and we break the clock, does the clock now execute humanity at random?
I mean, sure. I mean, and if we're talking about a world clock, so to speak, yes.
Okay, did the clockmaker, was he required to make the clock in a way in which, when it broke, it would randomly execute humanity?
It's not supposed to break unless...
Wrong. Does not answer my question. Does the clockmaker know that if the clock breaks, there are multiple outcomes that could happen?
Yes.
Does he have control over the outcomes?
I mean, yes.
Then so if he has control over the outcomes, could he make it so that the outcome of the broken clock doesn't result in people being executed at random?
Damn it.
Yeah, he will.
Okay, then he made a broken clock on purpose. His intention was to have a clock that was broken, that would hurt people at random. Also, Traveling Hobo, thank you again for the super chat. Traveling Hobo says, thank God I'm an atheist. 500 Philippine pesos, $850 US. Big W from the Philippines. We appreciate that. So we'll just try this from the beginning. Again, you admitted that the consequence of the clock executing random people when it broke was a consequence that God had control over. He could have made the consequence so that when the clock broke, it didn't execute people at random. He chose to make it so that he would. So your second analogy fails.
No, it doesn't fail. It doesn't fail. It's actually consistent. It's actually very consistent to what you're saying, because it's not that he made the clock to kill people. It's that
I didn't say that.
I know. I'm just clarifying. The clock that was handed over, like the world handed over to the people, like you saw in Genesis chapter 2, they were given dominion over it.
Yes,
in other words,
I know. You're not saying anything yet.
Perfect. Here, this is yours. This is how you run it.
I don't care. We're not talking about who broke the clock. We're talking about the consequences. And you've already said, listen, stop. You told me in both analogies, both in the garden analogy and in the clock analogy, that God has control over the consequences, does he not?
Yeah.
Okay, if God has control over the consequences, then he can make the consequences as such that people don't get randomly executed. Does he have that capability?
I mean, sure, yeah.
Okay,
why not?
If he has the capability to make the consequences so people don't get executed at random, then that means the consequence being people are being executed at random is a decision that he made. Do you follow?
Oh yeah, free. I mean, that's